Alrighty, we are live, and Naz and I coordinated our outfits.
Did we really? I haven't actually pulled up your stream yet because
Your flannel
lots
is
of
red and black, and I'm wearing my red stack up shirt.
nice. Nice.
hmm It's because it's spooky season, you know,
It's autumn. What do you mean?
and it's spooky season. Hey, Blizzrad with a sub. Thank you so much for starting us off like that. Appreciate it. Good
Do
to
you
see you. There's
sub more than a month? Like once a month? I swear it was less than a month ago that you subbed last time.
he keeps it on a month to month basis. If he gets sick of my shit, he won't renew his sub. So he's not going to do it out to a year because then he'll have to go through a bunch of headaches if I push his buttons too much.
You're just keeping you honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a generous way of putting it. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 75 of the Pathfinders podcast. We are 3/4 of the way to 100. My goodness. Woot. Yeah. And we have a pretty full show, a lot to talk about this evening, and it's all updates. It's all just news and good juicy information. So the alert pops up when I get on. It's been a bit of a busy period. I I don't want to hear your excuses. You have a job to do, and I don't pay you for it, but you still have a job. Yes, keeping Tree honest is what it's all about. Yeah, no one else is going to. So, but yeah, welcome to episode 75 of the Pathfinders podcast. We are the Pathfinders, and we are charting the way through all the nebulous information surrounding Star Citizen, Squadron 42, and their development. I am Tree0311, Tree0311, here with my partner in crime.
Hello, everyone. I'm distracted trying to make a soundbite. Hi.
Yeah, and we're just chatting about all this stuff that's come down. It's things are happening quickly, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
hard to keep up. Exciting,
Like
exciting
quickly, and
times.
also it's like half the stuff is quickly and half the stuff isn't coming fast enough.
Yeah, and you're looking at it, you're like, okay, this is happening really fast, but what about this part? This needs to happen too. Like, you know, driving him insane is slowly insane is a big portion of it. Well, yeah, and you can't drive me. You can't make my hair fall out because a little late. And
Part of the crew.
Mootkins, thanks so much for the follow. Thanks for joining us this evening. Hope you're doing well.
Part of the crew, part of the ship. Part of the crew, part of the ship.
But yeah, before we get started with the show, Naz, what you been up to, buddy? We were talking about it a little
What
bit
have I been
before,
up
but
to? Lots of work. Well, lots of being tired from work. Um, yeah. So stream schedule has been like really bad lately over the past week because I started a new job, and so I've been doing that, and I just don't have any energy otherwise. But even though I said I was supposed to have it done this morning, streaming is coming back. I just did a stream earlier today on Space Engineers. I should be able to stream a couple more times this week and possibly a couple more times next week. And then of course we are doing a 48-hour stream for CitizenCon. We're gonna be starting way too early Saturday morning because it starts here on the East Coast at 4 o'clock in the morning.
is it 4 o'clock? Oh yeah, yeah. It starts at 3 o'clock for me, or oh no,
The doors open.
yeah, the doors open at 2 o'clock my time. The like pre-show I think it is starts at 3. Like
Mhm.
they actually start, the stream at 3. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna hop on at that point because I want to watch that stuff. I find it funny and
Yeah.
interesting.
And like I haven't seen Jared in so long. We're like getting withdrawals. Yeah, pre-show. Okay, pre-show is at 5 a.m. Saturday morning. Oh boy. So I'm trying to get so I work on Friday and then I pass out Friday evening and I get up not like evening, but like late afternoon, take my sleep there. And then I'll be up starting my stream at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then going all the way through till 2 o'clock. Monday morning.
Yeah, see, I'm supposed to work on Saturday. I tried to get the day off and
Oh
couldn't.
no.
So I feel it. Because I have a, and hopefully no one that I work with or especially no one that supervises me watches my show. But I have a 24-hour shift that Thursday, so I'll get off shift that morning on Friday. And I'll just have to call them later on Friday and be like, hey, I feel like crap and I can't come in tomorrow, and I'll feel really bad about it, really bad.
Oh yeah, I'm
But
sure.
it's the pre-show starts at 3 a.m. my time, and so then it gets done at 12 noon my time essentially. So after that though, I'll have to get a nap in because at 4 p.m. I have to go to a baby shower for mine and my wife's best friends, and I'm gonna need a little bit of energy to get through a baby shower because there's gonna be a lot of kids there, and it's gonna be a bit overwhelming.
Nonsense.
Might be looking really pale around CitizenCon. For me, it'd be more pale, extra pale, slightly more opaque. Hey, the fruit abides. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us this evening. But then I'm really excited because we here in Boise we have our little bar citizen community. Like North End Trooper, who you see in chat regularly, is a part of it, and he basically he and Pumpkin Fury, who sometimes is in chat and is in my Discord, are a part of it. And so we're having a bar citizen event the afternoon of Sunday. So it should, the way the times work, it starts again. The pre-stream starts at 3 a.m. on Sunday, and they get done at 8. So I'll be able to get some rest, and then we're gonna have a fun bar citizen event at a bar, sort of a pub in Central Boise. So I'm really looking forward to that because I didn't get to go to our last bar citizen event, and it's a good group of people.
I wonder if
I
that's
hope you get
all
to
right.
feel better.
Yeah.
Have you been
I'm
streaming
still
Star
within
Citizen or just Space Engineers?
So today was Space Engineers. Last time I streamed was Star Citizen. What was that? Night before? Was it? Yeah, Sunday night. I streamed some Star Citizen. I forgot about that. Actually got. Oh, how do I say it? Was 13th of Beaver, Beaver. Helped me out in testing out some stuff in Arena Commander.
Oh,
Okay.
the weapon changes, right?
Yeah, I didn't notice any of it. Like I could definitely tell the ships were tuned a bit differently.
Oh, I
The
thought you were doing
paragraph five
FPS
still
weapons.
much. We were doing both. We basically did a
Oh,
bunch of
okay.
ship combat. We did and a little bit of FPS combat. Yeah, not a whole, like I didn't notice without like reading it and then doing a A/B test. I didn't really notice it all that much. What was the thing? The Arena Commander UIs amazing. The MFD rework amazing. And the new power system is amazing. I cannot wait to try multi crew with that because now even without engineering, the engineer has something to do being power management.
Mm-hmm. And
So
I
even
think it looks cool, like the fact that you
oh
can do
yeah,
it, but
it looks
also I think
great.
they executed the UI in terms of aesthetic, but also usability. I haven't gotten to
And bigger
use it myself,
screens
but
now
I've been
have
watching people use it on stream and stuff, and I'm like, that came out great, and they're going to iterate it on it and tweak it and stuff. But for the first go, I think it's pretty awesome.
yeah, and now bigger screens have a really big advantage over small screens.
Mm-hmm.
So like the screens in Constellation, you have each seat has a big screen on it. And for power management, like you get to see more power stuff on the screen.
Hey, Mini C with the raid. Thanks so much for
Wow.
joining us. Oh, they're using an
Hello,
AI
everyone.
thing. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome everybody from Mini. Am I saying it right? Mini C. Where'd it go? Mini EC. You can call me Mini. Thank you for the raid, Mini. I really appreciate the support. Thanks for stopping by. This is the for those of you who are just joining us. This is the Pathfinders podcast. We are just getting started. We not AI, not yet anyway. Yeah, soon we will be, whether we like it or not. But yeah, this is the Pathfinders podcast. Naz and I go over all the news and development in Star Citizen, going over things with a fine-tooth comb, the roadmap roundups, the monthly reports, progress tracker stuff, but then dev posts and chats, and we do deep dives into the development of game features and tech and all that. We just enjoy following Star Citizen and Squadron 42 and their development. But if this is your first time coming hanging out on the stream, because I know nothing about Star Citizen, you've come to the right place. Thanks so much for the follow. I need to hold on. Shout out.
Part of the crew,
Shout
part
out
of the ship.
at MI.
Part of the crew, part of the ship. Part of the crew, part of the ship.
All right, there we go.
ID man, part of the crew, part of the ship.
Sweet. I got the Moobot doing its thing with the shout out and the follow command. Awesome. Perfect. But yeah, so this evening we were just getting started with our pre-show where we just talk about what we've been up to, personally as content creators, and then a little bit of our personal, what we've been up to. But then tonight we're going to be covering the October 2nd Roadmap Roundup, the latest server meshing news and updates, and then the monthly reports for Star Citizen and Squadron 42. I just started and barely know how to work my guns, apparently. The learning curve is there, but once you sort of get over the hump, it does start to feel a bit more natural, and the community is I think very welcoming and very encouraging and very helpful. But at the same time, there's a lot of stuff changing with new things coming online. So we're all learning. We're all in the same boat because I'm still struggling with all the new keybinds and getting used to master modes and everything like that, and the changes. So
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's played 324-2, but normally you have two groups. Most ships have two groups already preset, weapon groups, and it was left and right click. Right click is now precision mode.
Mm-hmm.
So don't hit right click unless you know what you're doing. And that's gonna be a great learning curve for me. By great, I mean terrible.
The changes will settle down probably after this next, this next couple patches, but in terms of usability. But their CIG is hitting us hard and fast with a lot of the big changes and big new features over the last year and going forward for the next several patches. So it's good, but it's also a bit of a learning curve for everybody. Oh, let's see, catching up with chat. Hey, Ether Jiff, good to see you. Sendy Senderson, thanks for joining us. Hope you guys are all doing well. Hope you guys enjoy the show. We've got a lot of good information. Where you said you wanted to show something, Nas?
Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna come through the stream, but it'll definitely come through Discord.
Oh yeah, I'll pull it up.
It only gives me 5 seconds. There we go. I now have bagpipes in Discord.
Bagpipes. I should get a soundbite from the bagpipes and put that in my stream so I can key that up whenever I need to.
Yes. So it's my subscriber and my I think raid sounds.
Nice.
I think that's
smart. Good idea.
Yes.
Well, I've been doing 0 to Hero streams and having a lot of fun with that. I've been Star Citizen a little bit here and there. Don't go to HDMS Pinewood on, on Hurston. Do not. It is broken. The areas around the landing pads are. They are made of tissue paper, and you walk onto them and you fall right through into the center of the planet.
Oh,
And they got me.
Wow.
They got me once on my first Zero to Hero stream, and after that, I had no issues. And then, like 2 streams later, I forgot about it when I was doing delivery missions. I went there, and I was like, "Oh wow, looks like there's a ship meetup going on." And I landed, and I got out, and I was like, "Huh, where is everybody?" Ah! Fell down to the center of the planet. Oh, now I understand why there's all these ships that have been left here. Mini has killed more crew accidentally than World War II. Yeah, the only thing I can recommend is practice, but also watching YouTube tutorials. There's a lot of really great videos out there that'll help you show the ropes or help show you the ropes and get you used to things. Because it is, you know, when it comes to flying, despite what a lot of detractors will say, it is a much more challenging flight model than anything else you are used to if you're coming from other space games. Everything else, predominantly is very, very arcadey, and CIG has gone many steps further than that. So it does take a lot of getting used to, and the only reason I can still fly halfway decently, given how little I get to play these days, being a dad and such, is because I've been playing for so long and I keep up with the development. But yeah, I've been struggling lately just trying to get used to things all over again, just because there's been a bunch of changes in the last 6 months, and when you have children, and particularly when you're like me and you have twins, you forget a lot in a very short period of time. So
Oh, wow.
yeah. So let's get into the show. And Naz will, I'll switch screens and we'll go over to the Roadmap Roundup and you can do your thing. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and I'm sorry. Before we get going, since we had a raid from Mini and their crew, just want to let everybody know. You guys have probably seen Moobot in chat putting up the messages, but my Twitch and YouTube are entirely charity driven. Naz is my partner in the podcast, but the I keep no monetization for myself. I donate all of it to a charity called StackUp.org, which helps veterans and members of the military connect. It helps connect them with video games and video game communities in order to combat PTSD and the stresses of being deployed, being away from family and support groups and all that. And so it's a mission that I firmly believe in. I'm both a veteran, but also a member of the military now. Former infantry, Marine, and current Army National Guard flight paramedic. So it's a very worthwhile cause. Last year, we raised nearly $2,000 as a community, both with the donations, direct donations from the community, as well as me donating my monetization payouts from YouTube and Twitch. And we were able to send out a loot crate to a group of Marines and sailors who recently deployed. So pretty proud of that. So just know that, if you stick around and you suffer through the ads, I appreciate it. Because that funding goes towards supporting StackUp.org and their mission. And if you really want to go the extra mile, you can put !charity in chat, and it'll give you the link to my donor drive. Oh, it's right there in chat right now. And you can make a direct donation. And actually, I should take a look at that because I haven't even looked to see if I've had any recent donations. But I also need to donate my most recent payout. I've just been pretty busy. But yeah, so that's what we got going on. So let's take a look at the Roadmap Roundup.
All right. So as we are to do, when we read something from CIG, we always like to read the header, which gives everyone the basis for whatever document we're reading. For a month or for the Roadmap Roundup, it is the standard opener because it's kind of a copy paste. They do everything, but we still like to read it. And that one says, "Happy Wednesday, everyone. Every 2 weeks, we accompany the Roadmap update with a brief explanatory note to give you insight into the decision making that led to any changes. This is part of an effort to make our communications more transparent, more specific, and more insightful for all of you who help make Star Citizen and Squadron 42 possible." With that said, let's go ahead and dive into this week's Roadmap Roundup, CIG community team. And I think you said it earlier. Like it's not a whole lot changed on the Roadmap Roundup side, but kind of just like normal stuff. I believe the only thing that was really changed the MFD rework, right? Was added to 3234.
Are you talking about the last roadmap roundup or the one before this, or because now they're all just committed? They've all been there. I forget what the previous one said now, but basically they just committed the Zeuses and the MFDs. So now it's like, yeah, they are confirmed, and well, of course they're in the patch.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so it's just like stuff's got done. That was about it.
Yep.
Let's see.
And unless you live under a rock and haven't been hearing anybody screeching about it because of the excitement, but the Zeus is now available in PTU. We made it to wave 2, didn't we? Or are we still wave 1?
Yes, wave 2 is out, and all Evocati and Zeus owners can now fly Zeuses.
So it's available to test for people up to wave 2 who own it, or if you're Evocati. So there's a lot of people. I'm sure there's a lot of people streaming 394.2 to take a look at the Zeus right now. I don't own one. I'm going to use my store credit to upgrade from an LTI token to get an ES when it comes out. Because they're really good looking ships.
Really good.
Yeah.
When it goes back up for sale, I'll be upgrading my referral bonus Gladius to it.
Okay.
The reason specifically I want it on the Gladius because 1, I don't like the Gladius for a personal ship. 2, the Gladius is locked to my account, which means I can't get rid of it.
Oh.
And if I upgrade it to a Zeus, the Zeus gets locked to my account. I can't get rid of it unless I put in a ticket and you
lose the CCU
that day. Huh?
You'd lose the CCU. So if the cost of the CCU went up later, yeah.
So basically, I'm permanently binding a Zeus to my account. I did this last with the last time I did this sort of thing was back when there are way too many ships with a C in it. Carrick came out. I got the Carrick Expedition, and I upgraded something, and I hate myself for it because I can no longer get the Carrick Expedition without spending money on the gray market. But I love the Expedition paint. I hate it so much. So, but this time I'm binding it to my account, and it'll finally be something that I want. Because all my other ships that are like referral bonuses, like they're just kind of taking up space. But this one, I'm very sure I will want the Zeus for the rest of the time I play this game.
Yeah,
that's how much I like it.
It's the hard thing for me is, do I go for the CL or the ES? I'll have to look and see how much credit I have, because I melted my Kraken when the Ironclads came out, because I really like the Ironclads, and I still had a lot of credit left, and I was like, well, I will have enough credit to be able to upgrade from an Atlas with LTI to a Zeus, but I think I have enough to get both.
Oh.
But I don't know if I want to have that both, like, am I really going to be able to use them? But that's the thing is, I really want the ES.
You can upgrade one onto the Atlas and then buy the other one. And then if you don't like it, just melt it again.
Well, I don't want to spend, that much new money or anything like that. And I really want the ES for, just multi-crew general purpose stuff. But, because like I have the Raft, I love the Raft for cargo. I don't really need another cargo ship. But the CL's tractor beam
ouch with the ES
speaks to me in a way that I cannot describe live on stream where there might be children watching. So I don't know. I might just bite the bullet just because. But so my ultimate goal for my 0 to hero character is to work my way up to an ES.
The ES and CL are very much not the same.
Well, I know they are very different. I just don't know how much use I would get.
Socially confused said I think the ES are the same amount.
Oh, in terms of how much it costs.
Oh, buying money. I see.
Yeah.
That's. I thought they were talking about cargo. 'Cause they're definitely not.
Does the ES have enough room for an Ursa? Does anyone know? I feel like if it doesn't have enough room for an Ursa, that kind of hurts it for me because RSI Ursa, pardon me, and
Yeah.
RSI Zeus, like,
ES.
nope. Oh, bummer. Do I melt my Corsair for a Zeus? It depends on what you enjoy doing, Mootkins.
That would be a interesting one.
You
Right
know,
from that.
and in which Zeus you're going for, because like if you use your Corsair for bounties, and well then maybe go for the MR because it's smaller crew and more combat related. But if you're using your Corsair because it's an exploration ship and you want to do exploration, the ES is really great. So it doesn't fit in Ursa. Okay, good to know. Well, yeah, and if the door is too small for even the CL to fit in Ursa, with all the SCU it can carry, like that's I feel like that's a pretty decent balancing point for it. That it can only take real small vehicles and not like I don't know if you'd call an Ursa like a medium sized vehicle, but I'm gonna miss my Explorer ship for hunting ERTs. Yeah. Does the Zeus look like the Interstellar ship? Yeah, kinda. It's kind of got that vibe. I think that you could safely say that they got some inspiration from that.
The interstellar ship.
The ship from Interstellar that they fly around in.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ES has
I do
nice
not
pockets for an
remember the
Atlas.
ship at all.
I just don't see the Atlas being useful for a ship with that little cargo.
Yeah, not really, but
yeah.
it is it is faster to move with the Atlas, like just flat out.
It's faster, but like you have to think about, do you want to take up that space if you're only moving a couple of containers and it saves you
Mhm.
a few seconds because the cargo is such a small amount?
So
Now the rock, that's a thought too, because if
yeah.
you've got a rock and you're doing some pretty prolific ground-based mining, and so in 324.2 they've got the interior maps for caves, and if you can go to the caves where you can drive a rock into it and go get all the real valuable stuff, and like you can make a good amount of scratch doing that kind of gameplay. It does give you a faux ship tractor beam. It's just, do you need it? Even with when they further balance the tractor beams, the max lift is still going to be able to lift a 16 SCU container. Like you literally, if you were to fill it up, you'd only have to move 2 or 3 containers. Like the seconds difference that it would save you, it means you'd lose the space that carrying the Atlas around takes up. And the Atlas, here's the thing that gonna piss in everybody's Wheaties about with the Atlas is going to be efficient for moving cargo, but it has batteries. It's going to have big old fat. They showed you that was one of the sneak peeks. They showed you the big old fat battery thing on the back of it, and you're going to want to be mindful of the power consumption on that thing, and not sucking down your battery for no reason, because you're going to have to recharge those things, or you're going to have to buy new ones. The Atlas is in between a vehicle and a character in terms of the way the tech works, but both characters and vehicles are, we're going to have it very soon here for vehicles, but resource network is going to be part of characters. Your armor and your suits are going to require resources. You're going to consume air to breathe. You're going to have batteries for power to do certain things. It's not just vehicles. It's suits and armor are going to get much more complicated in the not too distant future. And so all the mechs and stuff, well, if the mech doesn't have its own power plant, even if it does, and right now they're talking about batteries. Batteries are going to consume power. You're going to have to charge them with something that consumes power. Yeah. Just get a cutty steel and don't provide air.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Atlas is really nice, and I kind of hope that they extend the function of the Atlas to the max lift, but I don't think they're going to, because the max lift is technically a vehicle tractor beam, or sorry, the Atlas is a vehicle tractor beam, whereas the max lift isn't.
Yeah, no. I forget where they said it. The function of the Atlas tractor beam, they're looking at, I think this was Chad McKinney when he did the last SCL he did. They're looking at applying it to other vehicle mounted ones, not necessarily to the handheld ones.
Well,
And
and
there was also a talk about it being a premium feature or a adjacent model to vehicle tractor beams.
yeah, it leaks, earmuffs. Everybody cover your ears if you don't want to hear about leaks. But the tractor beam, with that additional functionality, they already have applied it to a different tractor beam, and they're calling it the Q model or something like that, and it has that as an additional mode. Like the description is already in the files for 3.24.2, so they moved very quickly. How exactly it'll be implemented, I don't know, but they've already got the ball rolling on that.
Yeah, I hope it's not a mode, but a difference, because if it's a mode, if you can switch to normal tractor beam to Atlas tractor beam, I forget what they called it, Q mode.
Yeah,
Then it just makes all the tractor beams without it irrelevant. Because if you
yeah.
have the option to get it with or without, like, to switch it on or off, then you should buy that one anyway. The components are not expensive enough to say, hey, these ones are 100 to 500 credits difference. This one has two modes. This one only has one. Well, get the one with two modes.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a mode switch, it makes the ones without the mode switch irrelevant.
I would be fine if they just replaced all the vehicle tractor beams with these ones with both modes. Like, I don't feel like having two
Yeah, it
different
wouldn't.
types of the same tractor beam, one with two modes, one without, offers anything. I think
Right.
the differentiation is, like, we've already got the Gray Cat Sure Grip, I think it is the name of the vehicle tractor beam that we have in game right now, and then there's going to be one from Misk coming, that is Geon inspired. Like, having one, tractor beams, same modes but different strengths and weaknesses is probably the way to go.
Yeah. Or, of course, just have it be, this is the size 1 normal, size 1 Q.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would let you, especially if you have more than one tractor beam on your vehicle, which not a lot of vehicles do at the moment, you can switch it up just like mining lasers, where this one is the pull and grab and set down, and this one is the more fine control, the one that doesn't have Q mode.
As long as they all agree to use USB-C, I'm good.
Who would I know people would say Apple and would be Origin, but I think Crusader would be the one that's like, no, we're doing proprietary hookups.
Yeah.
These are
that's
our ships.
that's it for the roadmap roundup. One last thing. So we haven't gotten any more progress tracker updates since they did the big update, but they said during the big
They
update
said
that
we're updating more.
we're going to add more teams and more deliverables. I think, and this is me theory crafting, this is me, Nostradamusing, all that. There's nothing, data or evidence wise to support this, but I think that there's stuff that is already in development that they're not mentioning in the monthly reports that is on the progress tracker that would be spoilery, if they showed us now before CitizenCon.
Oh yeah, no, I see what you're saying. That there is stuff already there that is being worked on now for the rest of this year that they can't tell us.
Oh, and going into
Because
next
it's-
year because they said that they're going to get started. Dang it. Blizzrad,
Ooh.
bot.
Blizzard bot?
Blizzrad, we got a bot. Kill it. Kill it with fire.
Where? I didn't even see it.
Oh, it's because it's restricted. I can see it on my screen, and
Oh,
can see it. Yeah, they're like, there we go. Run. Yeah, that one was very suggestive. That's a naughty bot. So let's switch screens, and then that way it sort of gives me a little timestamp, and then let's get into the server meshing updates.
Woot. These are some good ones too.
Yeah. Yeah, even the one we had last week with the big old recap from Benoit was phenomenal. But then, after last week's test and getting a recap on that one, and then all the stuff that they were saying in chat, in testing chat,
off
like
now Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
oh, nice.
Where do I work? And I don't work. No, wait, where is it? Where's Monday? And I don't work till 12 on Monday, 12:30. Ooh boy. Well, that's it. I am now ready as far as work goes for CitizenCon.
Very good.
I haven't said like, hey,
So, latest server meshing development news, and we've got, as you can see, if you can look close, you can see there's quite a few tabs up here. I snagged a whole bunch of things that Benoit and one that Wikipedia said in chat, as well as a few little other supporting things that you might find a little bit interesting regarding the latest developments for server meshing. Blizzard says, I've been getting notified that they're banning them too, but I doubt that actually achieves much. Yep, you just have to be keep holding the line. Keep holding the line. So, server meshing test D after action report. This was the third in this series of server meshing tests. What they called test A was the one back in April, I think it was. The first one that they did outside of Evo. And this is if you want to get more caught up on this news, check out the previous episode of the podcast where Naz and I take a look at all the sort of summation from test B and C, as well as test A from Benoit. A lot of really great information, so go check that out if you haven't seen that as well. Or you can just go to that episode and look at the show notes, which I always post in the description. This is over on YouTube.
Part of the crew.
Part of the ship.
Part of the crew. Part of the ship. Part of the crew. Part of the ship. Part of the crew. Part of the ship.
Thank you for the follow, Thick Wizzy. Really appreciate the support. Thanks for joining us. But yeah, over on my YouTube, you can check that out. You can read these things for yourself. Naz and I cite everything. And if we don't have a citation, we're going to let you know. And this is from Balt CIG, which is Benoit. Benoit is the Chief Technical Officer for CIG, previously the Chief Technical Officer from Turbulent before the merger. So he says, hello, everyone. Back with a...
I think it's technically technology officer.
Oh, yeah, technology officer, not technical. Yeah.
Yes.
He's technically an officer. Technically a chief officer.
That's great.
Yeah. Back with another server meshing test D post-action report directly from the server meshing strike team. Meshing test D was conducted on October 2nd. Actually, this one this is the second one from this round that I was able to get in on. I wasn't able to make the 1,000 player portion, but I was watching people stream it, and then I got to come on about an hour into the four server 500 person configuration. So conducted on October 2nd, the test primarily included some important optimizations to how the hybrid service processes and fans out entity updates to connected clients and servers. This is an optimization opportunity that was observed in previous tests C. So, and they'd been telling us after test C that, hey, we found a whole bunch of things that were able to optimize, and we're expecting really big performance improvements. And boy, did they deliver! And this is one of those things where, unless you know what to look for, you're probably going to not think that it's a big improvement. But if you know what to look for, from test B through C through D, the improvement is orders of magnitude. For context, in test B, the desync was measured in minutes to tens of minutes. And so you didn't see players move, and like I was on that and I accidentally crashed my ship, but I didn't know I did it, and the server didn't update me until like 12 minutes later. That's how bad it was. There was, the interaction delay. You couldn't even call it delay. It was so bad. But they learned from that one that the replication message queue that they developed after the test in April fixed the problem that they had with the first round of tests in April, which was essentially a blocker. They couldn't go forward with that problem. Fix the problem, but it allowed them to see where they needed to go to make optimizations. And so from that test, they made a bunch of optimizations, and which got us to test C. And then test C gave them, you were able to see, like with test C, the desync was still noticeable, but it was like a degraded server on live. And the interaction delay was measured in seconds instead of minutes. So like obviously still not good enough for live, because if you're waiting for multiple seconds for something to respond to you interacting with it, it's too long. But that's an order of magnitude better, going from minutes to seconds. And then going from test C to test D, I experienced almost no desync. It was pretty much non-existent. The only desync was intermittent players, and a lot of that could probably be attributed to people playing outside of their region, or people with poor connections. It was no different than any other game I've ever played that was released, and the interaction delay was not there. It was as good, if not better, than live.
They do only run these tests on US and EU.
Yeah.
So no Australia and no Asia servers. So, and if anyone wants to connect to the preview channel, they have to run on faraway regions.
Yeah. Yeah, I very well could have been seeing people from Australia or Asia or something like that, because I'm in the U.S. And the U.S. servers are on the East Coast, so that's the other thing. If somebody is playing from Australia or Asia and they're connected to an American East Coast server, it takes a long time for the updates to get from them, to the replication layer, and then the server, and then back out to me in the mountain time zone here in the US. But even then, like it was barely noticeable. Yeah, West Coast is best from AU. West Coast, best coast. And the interaction delay wasn't even a thing. Like my server performance was in the teens to 20s the entire time. My ping in the previous tests, you had pretty serious ping spikes, and my ping stayed 80 to 100, which is normal for me, because I'm connecting to an East Coast server the entire time. No ping spikes, not a single one. And then the other thing that I noticed was the NPCs and how much they were moving around and doing things. I saw NPCs getting onto trams, NPCs walking around and talking and stuff. It was not like a live server at all. It was better. And we'll get to why that's really encouraging here in a little bit. The test primarily included some important optimizations to how the hybrid service processes and fans out entity updates to connected clients and servers. This is an optimization opportunity that was observed in previous test C. The test also included a crash fix on the hybrid related to quantum jumps. There was an intermittent crash in test C where people, when they quantum jumped, it would cause a crash on the hybrid, which would essentially causes a 30K for everybody on the server. But a 30K where you get disconnected, like the old school 30K. While the test did not go as well as we wanted, mainly because of a fast reproducing crash at high player counts, this was on the 1K player, 1,000 player, 6 server configuration, we were still able to make important observations. The same gameplay observation from test C carryover. So Naz, if you want to continue.
You gotta move, cat. Cut. Move. No. You're in the way now. All right, there we go.
No, kitty.
All right. Also, one thing I did want to mention that before they started this test, previously they were shooting for, trying to get 1,000 players to work. They had mentioned that it was possible that they take this test to 2,000 players or 2,500 players. I forget which the number was. So that kind of shows their confidence in the testing. We did not make it there for reasons I'm pretty sure will be stated. So new observations in test D. Okay, bye. The optimizations we were verifying in this test were confirmed as working. No more large stalls in the entity updates. This delivered major performance to the hybrid, even at 900 plus players. Very encouraging. A crash in the hybrid at high concurrency prevented the test from being more valuable or testing at even higher player counts, which they really wanted to do. Which kind of validates a lot of people saying they might be actually aiming for 1,000 players for 4.0. But where it ever lands, even if they're aiming for 1,000 players or 100 players or 500 players, where it will land will be determined by what kind of performance they can get out of the entire system. If it's not performant
the
at
performance,
500,
but also what the game can handle, and that.
Well,
so here's the thing is, and on that first point, the performance to even the hybrid at 900 plus players, that was the crazy thing is I was watching people stream it, and I was like, oh my god! Before the crash, before it started crashing, I was like, holy crap! Look at how good this is.
Yeah.
And then when I got on and played at 500 players, it was the same performance. Like that, there was almost the same. The only difference was the crashing. But then the crash, I didn't crash once, and I was playing on the tech preview for over an hour at least. And I didn't hear of anybody having crashes at the lower numbers. So it's very unique to that high player count. But the thing with it, and this is a misnomer, and it's due to people don't understand how server meshing works. They think it's just, add more servers, add more people. And it's not that simple. We are connected to the replication layer, and the replication layer connects all the people who are on the servers that the replication layer is connected to. So when they say 6 servers and 1,000 people, those 6 servers and those 1,000 people are all connected via the replication layer. It's here, let me pull up the image so you can see it. Hold on, I have it. Nope, not that one. I'm gonna pull up the image from their CitizenCon.
while you're doing that, so I said something about saving your money for Star Citizen later. It will always be better later. I would as I recommend, always jump into, and that might even be PC stuff. But I'll just go ahead and do the spiel anyway. I always recommend, if you're unsure if you'll like Star Citizen, wait for a free fly. They happen at least 4 times a year.
The ones that are very reliable are IAE in November, which starts the Friday before Thanksgiving, and then Invictus, which is is it the second or third Friday of May that it starts? I forget which. I want to say it's the third. One or the other, yeah. And you'll know because it'll be all over the website. All you have to do is keep an eye out.
Yeah. And don't spend any more than you absolutely want to. You can buy the game for just $45 for now. I say for now because after 1.0, I highly doubt it's gonna be that cheap. and you don't have to spend $1 more. You can buy everything else in game. Plus, there's lots of events they're doing for free stuff now. So, go ahead.
So this is an image I pulled from their presentation at, was it 2022 or 2021? I forget. But this is sort of an image that gives you an idea of how things are configured in a basic sense. Here's the replication layer, and the replication layer just takes all the updates from everybody that's connected and passes them off to whoever needs to know. So when you, a connected client, and this is essentially a shard right here. And so we have 5 servers. We have that are all connected to one replication layer, and an individual replication layer is called the replicant. And then we have all the players who are on that shard. And don't worry about how many it is. It's just however many that is. And then within that shard, you have a connection to the entity graph database, which is where the long-term storage of the status of every entity in the game is stored and constantly updated. And so the servers are simulating the game universe and updating those changes to the simulation, via physics calculations and all that other stuff, to the replication layer, which goes to the clients, the players who need to see those changes, as well as things that need to get updated within the game to the longer term persistence on the entity graph. And with player moves around, or player shoots a gun or something like that, that information is sent to the replication layer and to the servers that need to know that information based off where the player is. And it also gets passed out to players who are within essentially view of that. So they get those updates. So when everybody's like, oh, they're going for 1,000 players. Well, you have to realize that, even though the replication layer may be able to handle that many connected clients, you have to worry about that many people, or an appreciable percentage of that many, say 800 out of 1,000 people, all congregating on one server in the game. And even though, now, worst case scenario, they congregate on one server and that server happens to be responsible for, all the space stations. Well, if they're responsible for all the space stations and 800 people are on space stations, then you have one server doing all the physics calculations for every single one of those people running around and doing shit. Or if they're, on a planet, or something like that, or they're in an area of space, for Xenothreat or Blockade Runner. And so even though the game itself and all the entities within the game shard, the game universe are being spread across, the responsibility for those are being spread across these servers, and this server only has a quarter, a fifth of those entities that it has to be responsible for. That's doing entity updates isn't the only thing that is taxing on servers, and physics calculations are hugely taxing. And so if you have a huge portion of the shard is on one server, this server is going to get bogged down with this server trying to update everything based off of, okay, this person did this and this laser is flying this way, and this ship turned in this direction at this speed, blah, blah, blah. And so Morph did a good job in doing a test to see what, and it isn't even absolute concentration, but significant concentration. Instead of having a pretty even dispersion, he wanted to see what would happen with significant concentration. Now, obviously, if he had been able to do that test on this test, it would have been a lot better than on the previous tests. But even on the previous tests, like, you saw people moving about and doing things. The bigger issues were client side. And the fact that we've got a lot of legacy armor and gear that has very high poly counts and doesn't have a level of details out to farther distance. And so it really makes your client chug. Along with the UI elements that don't scale down And we don't have org tools. So you see your party markers for all 150 people in your party. Those are the sorts of things that will really make your client performance hurt, which hurts your game experience. But those are also edge cases. Those are things that wouldn't prevent CIG from going live with 4.0 because they wouldn't happen very often, especially if they have if they don't go for 1,000 people, they keep it at a more manageable level. If they only have 4 servers and 500 people, well, even if they, had a large concentration of that shard count of 500 localized onto one server, it's much more manageable for that one server to handle 300 out of 500 than 6, 7, 800 out of 1,000, if that makes sense. And you have a much higher, you've got a lot more overhead for the replication layer. Now, all this it stops being a problem with dynamic server meshing, but that's not what we're getting with 4.0. It's just a static configuration that looks like this. So as soon as the first client logs in, they filled up a previous shard, it's got 500 people or whatever, and then the 500 first person logs in. Well, now they need to spin up another shard, and they're going to spin up all the servers that they need, and the replication and everything for a shard for one stinking person. And so then they'll start filling up that shard. But even when concurrency goes down due to time of day or whatever, and this shard that had a population of nearly 500, at max concurrency is now down to 180. It's still going to have the same amount of servers. They can't dial them back with static server meshing. So if they have a configuration with more servers with a higher player count, and then that shard number goes down, that shard population goes down at 3 a.m. U.S. time, and now you only have 150 people on a shard with 6 servers, that's a ton of wasted server capacity. It's more inefficient and more costly for CIG for no benefit. It doesn't benefit them. But we're doing these tests because these tests identify where the optimizations are in these colored things moving back and forth, and the replication layer's ability to process these things going back and forth and send them out, and to make this more resilient and not crash. Sorry, tangent, but it's important to understand.
It also means the more people they can put into a single shard, the more beneficial it will be.
Yeah. Eventually, it's
server capacity wise.
Yeah, and that's going to be really, and that's why people think that this is just testing for 4.0 and static. It's like no. This is all data they're going to use for dynamic server meshing. They're not going to stop. 4.0 is going to launch. They might take a short break, and they're going to be going balls to the wall to get everything ready to start doing tech preview tests for dynamic server meshing.
Yeah, a quote that I'm pretty sure fades away pretty quickly. One of the devs, I think it was at SysNCon. I don't know where to link you guys to go see it again. But one of the server devs said straight out they would rather not do static server meshing.
Yep.
They would rather go back into their office and work on dynamic and launch dynamic, and that's what they would like to do. But there's a reason they have to do static.
They need what they're doing right now to be done at live, to let us fuck it up at live player counts and live performance.
I think Benoit said it, but Benoit said it for the entire server team.
Yeah.
Or for other devs in the server team. Who was it? Tomato? Was it Tomato that did the interview? I don't remember. Yeah, they would really much rather not, and they're very close as far as the tech is concerned, going from static to dynamic 1. So, I wonder, I don't know if anyone actually knows what their plans are as far as too many people in one area.
I don't think they have plans. I think they're gonna figure it out when they get there.
Because even if 100 people go to the same location, it's still bad performance. So I think they're just gonna work on server cap and kind of not care and let the teams over the next year update their stuff so we have better character performance. But I don't know if there's a real plan for optimizing. Like, there's no real mechanisms that they talk to or that we know of to stop people from congregating.
Yeah.
So even if we had a like what live is now, 100-person cap, if those 100 people get together, it's still bad performance whether they bring ships or not.
Well, and that's it right now what they're doing. The server meshing will allow a single server to handle a lot more people in that server's area of responsibility, but only to a certain extent.
On the server side.
Yeah,
But
then, and the client side part of it is optimizations for the art teams, art, lighting, and all that stuff, because that is part of it, in UI. But then also we still don't have multi-threading parallelization with Vulkan. And so that will make a difference in client-side performance in terms of being able to render higher player counts. God dang it, another bot. I don't want cheap viewers. I want high-quality viewers like Sandy Sanderson. Because but even so, even with that, optimizing art, optimizing the render, the render, there is a number, and they have talked about. They haven't talked about. They have said there are ways and there are things that we can do in order to not hard limit, but reduce the incidence of reduce the instance of that happening. It'll still happen. It'll cause crashes at worst. It'll cause poor performance at best, but it won't. CIG has said that they won't hard limit, saying no. Once you come in, they won't stop you from the trams. We can't have 500 people at IAE at the expo center. So once we get to 500 people in the expo center, we're going to stop the trams, at hard limit, and wait for people to come off. Like they're not going to put bouncers at Wally's bar or something.
They should definitely for dynamic, they should definitely make the event center its own server. And
with instancing, they can
nominally also instancing.
Yeah, they can do a mix of both. But that's with dynamic, they can subdivide and
they can subdivide each floor.
Yeah, they can subdivide a lot in order to optimize, especially with just spinning up more replication layers and more servers. But they can still only do it to a certain point, because the limiting, a certain server, a single server can only handle so many physics calculations, and a replication layer can only handle so many connected clients in terms of data throughput. But that number will go up substantially from what it was, and so it will mean that you can have a shard count of many, many thousands, because the likelihood of 600 to 1,000 people congregating in a very small area is going to as the universe grows, the likelihood of that happening is going to be very, very small. And then for areas where
that goes way up too, because it'll be able to know, like, hey, sure, an event's going on, IE's going on, but we have, let's just say 7 systems. And by the time the first people that have been in Stanton when it started, they're going to be done looking at IE by the time the people, from Seoul get over to Stanton to go visit the expo center. Yeah. So you're going to be able to have theoretical millions of people on a single shard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just that's part of the building the massive game universe. But then, even so, like we talked about this, how people don't like trams, and they are going to optimize trams and the transit and all that stuff. But for places where there's a lot of entity counts in landing zones and big places of interest, they can easily subdivide those, and they already have with transit. You can only move so many people on a tram from one entity zone to another, and essentially when those entity zones become their own servers or even their own clusters of servers with its own replication layer, it's a piece of cake for the replication layer that manages the 6 servers at the spaceport, for the main lobby and everything else around it, to then hand off, people one tram at a time to the commons and its 6 servers and one replication layer. You could have thousands of people in New Babbage, but because they're all on little islands that are connected by trams and elevators, it makes it very easy for CIG to manage it. And if you have a large space battle,
Not to
well,
mention
it's out in empty
with
space.
not to mention with that whole scenario with all the islands and Babbage, building interiors is another layer on top of that. So those islands get even dispersed even more across the entire city in their own there goes the word, the containers, object containers.
Mm-hmm.
So the likelihood of even people in the same city being in the same object container gets even less apparent.
Yeah.
Somebody had mentioned IE will have satellite locations in the verse. That's actually a great idea, because like, what if it's in Terra and Sol? Like, if you're in any of the Terra or Sol, if you're in Terra and it's in Sol, like that's a good,
get
like,
to see one
several
of the satellite
hours of
locations.
travel.
There's multiple satellite locations, and the main IAE is still at Severus, or it's Airy City, I think it is, on Severus
that's already
in
a
the
thing.
Keel system. Yeah, it's already a thing.
Okay.
But yeah. Oh, and we actually, there's a couple of these quotes that are important to talk about that, because a couple of the critiques that people have about the high player counts and everything, Benoit kind of hints at. So why don't you keep reading and we'll get onto those.
So, sorry, I'm still on the last thing. So, going to the origin point of IE is more like a once in a lifetime thing. You go to that once, and then you
think of it
survive
as
on
like
satellite.
Citizen Con has satellite locations, for like the Bar Citizen events are satellite events for Citizen Con, and you maybe make the trip to Citizen Con once every few years, the real
Nice.
Citizen Con.
That would be cool. That would be really cool. And then they can easily instance the main event, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Instead of everything. Very nice, very nice. All right, very cool. Now let's
I
get
think you
to
were
the
on
second
the
option.
Yeah,
I hadn't finished the 500 one. So any crash in the hybrid and high concurrent prevented the test from being more valuable or testing at even higher counts. The crash did not happen at lower numbers, 500. This is the focus of the next test. So the next test is this crash. Confirmed some stalls were still occurring on large streaming batches, most likely responsible for some teleport/warping seen with many players in the same spot. Observe some players getting
when they say large streaming batches, they're saying that a bunch of players in the same area, all moving around, they're sending their updates to the replication layer, and the replication layer sends those updates out in batches. And if the replication layer takes all these updates from 10 people, 20 people, or whatever in an area, and sends them all out at once, it doesn't like that, and so they're gonna those are further optimizations that they're gonna have to do in order to smooth that process out, so it isn't so much big shotgun blasted data.
CCIG breaking the quantum computer barrier. The quantum computer barrier has already been broken, but also quantum computing is not normal computing. It's not something that anything we're doing now on a computer. That's not what quantum computing does. It does a completely different job. It's more like, it's kind of the difference between a computer and a car. A car is not going to do what a computer does. A computer does not do what a car does. Same thing with quantum computing to a computer. It's just not the same thing. They just aren't going to do the same job.
And they wouldn't call it quantum computing. They would call it Atlas computer now, or something.
My God.
Or
No more Atlases.
Or they would call it star computing.
Star computing.
Yeah.
Yeah. to observe some players getting damage from the reported teleports, especially when many players are close to each other, like in trams or elevators. Most ping times and round trips were much more stable, even at higher player counts, which is something you where'd that word go? Said.
Mm-hmm.
There's a word for that. Starts with an A. Crap. Anecdoted earlier.
Oh,
Congregation on hab and hangars were still. Oh, congestion on habs and hangars were still egregious, especially for hangar elevators. Want to keep going?
yeah, you can finish off.
All right. The test was scaled back
Anarchy.
to 4 servers, 500 players, and left over running for 8 hours. We saw full trams in very densely populated areas, spaceport, etc. It was really great to see the world come alive while it lasted. We hope the next test will allow us to benefit from the optimizations for a longer period, aka leaving it at 1,000 players for longer. See you all in test E, which should be sometime this week.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I did talk to Jake, and Jake said that they would be communicating with us soon, and that the community team was letting Balt and Wikipedia handle the announcements and Wintermute the announcements, because they've been doing such a good job, and it was better for us to get it from them directly. So I hope to hear from them soon. I unfortunately, if they do have a test this week, I won't be able to participate because I work on Thursday and Friday, unfortunately. But hopefully I'll be able to spy while I'm at work. But yeah, so they said this is the focus of the next test for that crash. They did say that they identified what it was, and they already know how to fix it, so they'll be working on that. So I went through, and so you can search Spectrum, and you can search by replies, by original posts, by chat messages. And so I looked for all of Benoit Balt CIG's chat messages surrounding the date of the test, and I pulled up a few of the key ones to give some more context regarding this test. So the first one, and I put them in chronological order from the start of the test going later. So at 2:34 p.m. on the day of the test, we definitely want to know, and this is when the crashes started to happen. But so they were aware of it, and so Benoit says we definitely want to know if the crash happens at lower concurrencies too, the 4-server 500-player concurrency, just revising our game plan at the moment. So then at 2:40, he says, "Okay, guys, we're going back to a 4-server 500 client setup for the time being. This crash has too many reproductions to make it useful to go higher." So it was happening too often, that or at a rate that it was not useful to try and test higher, just because they were able to get the information they needed from that test. And it wasn't, they weren't expecting it to get better at higher player counts. So we'll cancel going to higher numbers for tonight, because they had originally said if things hold up, we'll just keep going up and see how it goes, because they need to find the upper limits for the replication layer. That's a big part of what this is, not for static server meshing, but really for dynamic server meshing. Once we're back down, our goal is to confirm that if the crash frequency goes down as well or not. And it did go down. It was like essentially non-existent. So 2:41, so a minute later, overall performance looked a lot better, but we had time to take very useful captures for even more optimizations. So they saw that even with the crashes at 6 servers and 1,000 people, the crashes didn't start immediately. It took some time. And so they are able to see that their optimizations gave them the performance that they were looking for from them over test C. They were able to do sort of intermittent captures of performance data to be like, oh yeah, this worked. This did what we wanted to. We're really happy with it. But it also highlighted some more areas for optimization, which is what he was talking about here with the teleports and getting damage, and then still a few stalls with large streaming batches. So what they'll probably do is when players are congregating together, is that they will do some sort of way of not so much queuing those large batches, but well, maybe it is a sort of queuing, but breaking them up into more manageable bits so that it sort of automates the process. When you have a whole bunch of players in an area, it doesn't send the data in as big of a batch and causing stalls and teleporting. They'll send it more incrementally in order, and what criteria they use for that, I don't know, but this is where we're going to see optimizations going forward, or a big part of it. So very useful captures for even more optimizations. So it was a great experience for me. It was great to see performance that good, but the fact that they've got even more optimizations already planned at 2:41 p.m. They've already identified things and they know how to further optimize it is incredible. 247. So this was in response to someone highlighting something that's been mentioned before by content creators like Morphologists. So I'll scroll up to it. Let's see. It was Remag. I saw it earlier when I was pulling these up. So Remag says, Balt, okay, but with 4 starting points to choose from, the 4 landing zones, you're guaranteed a minimum of like 200 to 300 players per starting point. That's at the 1K configuration. That's why they're not going to start at 1K, because the game can't handle it. This is surely why the servers are crashing and overloading. No, it's probably not, but the association does not equal causation. Needs to be dynamic or more starting points evenly spread out. Well, they can't add more starting points. And they're not going to make it so that way you can spawn at stations just for 4.0 or static server meshing. They'll limit the player count to 500, because if there's 500 people, if you have 500 people max for a shard and everybody's starting in Stanton at the 4 landing zones, that's breaks down evenly to about 125 per landing zone. But there's, I think it was high dozens, not quite 100 habs at each apartment complex in the landing zones. So even if everybody logged in all at once, all they have to do is, which that isn't how it works. People, log in batches, but as long as people don't all, everybody doesn't loiter in their habs, which they don't. Everybody starts mad dash to get to the spaceport. You're not going to. You would only have to implement a very small queue to account for that with a 500 player. For the 500 player cap, and that's even across Stanton and Pyro, that's even if you average it out, that's still 2.5 times what our cap is right now in Stanton. That's a huge difference. And that's only 500.
There's several stuff that's going to fix that. One, we have very few times when we're going to reset everything from now to full 1.0.
That's only an issue when the patch first launches. That's it. It stops being an issue after that.
After 1.0, this will no longer be a thing. 1.1 will not have all your items reset, will not have all your respawns reset. This is only like a now to 1.0 thing. After that, somebody buys the game 5 years down the road, they spawn in, everyone who's been there for 5+ years will be out in the verse.
We just need stairs.
There.
Yeah.
I would love stairs. And also, that's another big
Elevators
thing.
Are too fast. We need stairs.
Like, building interiors is a big thing for kind of smoothing out that kind of thing.
Well, and the other thing is...
because it makes
and
more
people
houses.
Might not like it for immersion purposes, but they can instance the apartment built. I forget what they... like Aspire Grand and what are the other ones? We have Aspire Grand,
L19,
L19 and Arcor,
and Green Circle.
the name. Yeah, they can instance all of those, and they can even instance it so you can be in the same hab as someone else and have the same view out the window.
Yeah, you can literally be in the same physical location without being in the same digital location.
Yep. Yeah. But so
Just
Balt
how
replies
Hango's
to
currently
that.
working.
Remag, oh, for sure. The spawn point situation is temporary and a bit artificial with this test. It's artificial because as long as they don't go to 1,000 players, it's not a problem. It's a non-issue. And everybody's like, oh, well, why wouldn't they go to 1,000 players? We need 1,000 players. We don't need 1,000 players for 4.0. We need 1,000 plus players and a lot more than that for dynamic server meshing. Dynamic server meshing is where we get high player counts, not static server meshing. Static server meshing is a short bump in the road on the way to dynamic. Now, will they have to address this on the way to dynamic? Absolutely. The instancing we talked about, having more star systems for people to start out at, how all that will work, or and if they can implement dynamic server meshing without a reset, so you don't start off in your hab, then it's again a non-issue. Yeah. I don't know if we're gonna get a wipe. Maybe some sort of wipe. The only reason I kind of want a partial wipe is I want to remake my character for my 0 to hero. I've got an idea of how I want them to look, and I accidentally started them with the character that Buster made for me, Buster the Destroyer, which looks
Yeah,
like
you can
me.
edit your character though, right?
You can.
Yeah.
I did not know this.
When you go to main menu, go to Persistent Universe. At the bottom, there'll be a character customizer button.
Well, never mind. Problem solved.
You learn something new every day.
Well, so like I got kind of what I'm going for. I was playing around with it. Was that today or yesterday?
There is plenty that we both don't know. We try hard, but there's always going to be something we don't know.
Well, and so like I have a very detailed high level view of the game's development. There's so much gameplay stuff that I'm not familiar with because I get lots of time to read about Star Citizen. Because I can do it at work during my downtime and stuff and rewatch videos and everything. I don't get to play Star Citizen as much as I'd like.
Yeah.
I still play
Which
frequently.
is where I kind of come in.
Yeah. I'm constantly asking Naz what you guys would think are stupid questions because I'm like, my study Star Citizen to play Star Citizen ratio is way out of whack. But so he says it's artificial with this test because it's artificially inflated because the player count is so high, but it's also temporary because whether they do instancing or whether it's temporary because eventually we're gonna have dynamic server meshing in the not too distant future. Well, so that gets me very excited though because I like when 3.24.2 went to PTU or when it went to Wave 2, sorry, I was able to get in. And I played around with the character creator because of the new tattoos and piercings and stuff because that's what I was waiting for to make my 0 to hero character because my 0 to hero character is like 21 years old and a bit edgy from growing up in the mean streets of Lorville and stuff. And so I was playing around with it. I wanted to have him look a bit edgy but like trying too hard and still have that sort of innocent looking baby face, and I got what I liked. But then I forgot to save it, and I was like, oh, no.
Oh, no.
But it's on the character. But now I know that if I can go in there and just reopen it in the character customizer, I should be able to save it so that way I can upload it to my live character.
Yeah, absolutely can. Yep.
You
can open that thing.
Blizzrad, I wasn't streaming. How did you know? Of course I have a tattoo that says mom. I have to... I'm sending my
I was really so I had an org event right before the stream and I had forgot that I built your mom character, and so I ended up playing the entire event as your mom.
Oh my gosh. Did you send that to me in our chat? Where did that go? I want to pull that.
That's in your Discord.
Oh,
it's Fortree.
Did I pin it?
There's Fortree.
Okay, I'll find it later. So there's a joke here. So I had Naz. My character's mom lives on Area 18. she's stricken with an incurable but treatable illness. Hey, Dibley, good to see you. Thanks for joining us this evening. Hope you're doing well. But and this is something I'm going to bring out to the community. And I'll ask you guys now. Start getting feedback, but I want to have a goal or a goal of how much money do I need to send my uncle and my mom. My mom lives with my uncle on Area 18 every month in order to provide for her medical care. In order to keep her alive, and I'm going to send that money to my main account. That way, my main account doesn't have to work so hard to make money. I can just goof off with it. But I'll wire it in there, and so I want to do it once a month in game, where I meet up with Naz at the hospital at Area 18, to get a screenshot of my character, saying hi to his mom when she goes in for her treatment, and we don't have to record it or anything, but I'll post it in my Discord, be like, here I am, sending, coming here to help pay for mom's health care. We did it this month, folks. Mom gets to live another month. Hooray.
And if we can't do it any specific month, we'll have to do just a face call. What are they called? The in-game face calls.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, that'd be even funnier, because that works really well in 3.2.4.2. I watched oh gosh, what content creator did
they
a video
updated the
on
whole
it.
render texture system. They did a whole poll.
Yeah, it's very good. Oh man, that would be this is gonna be funny.
Perfect. Yeah, and it needs
wait.
to be an amount that is hard to get. You can't just do a stream session. So I don't know, 4 hours.
Oh yeah, no, I want it to be a challenge, and I want my character to struggle at first until I can save up enough money to get a Cutlass Black and start doing higher paying jobs and get more rep and everything. I want it to be difficult, so that way it's I have to work at it, and then in a few months time I've got a Cuddy Black and more reputation, higher paying jobs, and it's a little bit easier. I've got a little bit more breathing room, and maybe in stream I'm like, well, I've already sent my money to mom. I'm going to treat myself. Let's go get pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously that'll be a year from now.
100K a week.
100K a week. This is a dystopia.
A month.
Yeah. With how much I get to play, I don't know if that's possible, but
yeah, it's got to be reasonable but also difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So
continue on. Balt at 3:35 along with Wikipedia. This is where they said, hey, we're going to leave the tech preview up at 4 servers with 500 clients, 500 players up until morning Austin time for you guys to play. A lot of great data. We confirmed our optimization worked and saw great performance at 1K. So again, they confirmed that the optimizations that they did, and they told us that they were very confident beforehand that these were going to work. And saw great performance at 1K, but we have another crash to chase at higher numbers, which they identified the crash and they know how to fix it. We'll prepare another build with fixes and optimizations like they talked about. So they already identified even more optimizations. So this next test should have this crash that occurred at 1,000 players addressed, and we should have even better performance over what we experienced, which is already very impressive. And then the last message came from Waka the next morning. Somebody had asked when the next test would be, and he said most likely next week, but not scheduled yet. Balt and team analyzing everything, and will definitely have some great updates for the next one. So after what Balt said regarding the optimizations before this test, and they were saying this during this test about the next test that would probably be this week, I am very hyped and very excited for this next test. And we are this close to having a very strong candidate. And I think, and we'll get to why this is even more encouraging here really quick, but the server meshing tests have gone really well these last few rounds, and they're making really awesome rapid progress. And so to reiterate that, Roger Godfrey, who you may recognize. He was in the ISC about server meshing at the beginning of 2022. Lead producer, Core Tech Group, Cloud Imperium Games. So Core Tech Group, the people who work on the technology, including server meshing, said, and this is, during the test, this is only 30 minutes after, Waka and Benoit were saying all this stuff. I don't want to say too much without having a really good chat with the engineers. This is his initial response to seeing them, their reactions to it. But we don't usually have that level of excitement at CIG without Jaffa cakes being involved. And this is over in the UK, so I don't know what a Jaffa cake is, but I want to try it. But this along with what Waka and especially Benoit was saying it's incredibly encouraging regarding the progress and server meshing working. And so if you've got some naysayers, in your circle, like show them the show notes, pull up the things, and let them know what we've been talking about, because we're there. So the last thing that came up, and this caused a whole bunch of unnecessary hype, but for me this should be hype, but people are hyping about it for the wrong reasons. And so CIG, RSI, Star Citizen, posted this today, this morning. Connie Aquila. So Akane Kayla getting ready to go through a jump point, and everybody's like, "Oh, it looks different than the Pyro one." No, it's just the Pyro jump point, folks. What we've seen before was work in progress. They've got different art. Maybe it's from a different angle, but that's the Pyro jump point. But how they said New Frontiers at the end, and so everybody's like, "Oh, it's a different jump point. We're getting they've been secretly working on Nyx or whatever," and it's like, no, they have not. But what this tells us, New Frontiers and everything, that we're getting very close to testing 4.0. And here we are, and This Week in Star Citizen posted this afternoon. On the Alpha 4.0 front, the team is making solid progress and is looking forward to releasing to Evocati. More news on that later. We're probably going to hear about it this week. New Frontiers await what was just shown in Pyro, and we can't wait to take the jump with you. So 4.0 going to Evocati is very soon, and it makes sense given how encouraging these server meshing tests are, the fact that 3.24.2 is on the 4.0 code branch, and that engineering has been getting tested in Arena Commander for a lot longer than they originally planned, but still really good for 4.0. So yeah, very encouraging stuff. I don't know about you, Naz, but I fully expect to see 4.0 go to Evo by CitizenCon.
Oh yeah, no, that's absolutely. I expect before CitizenCon 3.242 to be either live or open PTU. And I expect 4.0 and Evo till CitizenCon and wider after CitizenCon as we roll out through the wave system to get to a live build by the end of the year. Well, by as soon as possible to get to hopefully a IAE 4.0.1. But if we can't get tested that fast, we have the fallback of still on the 4.0 branch. 3.24 can be added on to for IAE.
Yeah, we could have a 3.24.3 for IAE, which continues to test the 4.0 branch with really high concurrency, while 4.0 is making its way through PTU, and would get even more concurrency, because if they had it like an open PTU during IAE during free fly, everybody's gonna hop on that. But I think that they are pushing really hard for 4.0 by IE. If you remember, we showed it off in the last show. Yogi said that they don't, something to the tune of, they don't intend for 3.24.2 to be up for very long.
Yeah. Like, but they are also like making sure they don't have like bottlenecks like 3.2.4 happened. Where it pushed 4.0. It was way too long in development. They had the fallback of IE on 3.2.4, but they also are trying to get 4.0 done. So they've got their checks and balances this time in the row.
And they've been doing
Also,
everything they can to shorten that testing cycle, which is really encouraging because of how smart their strategy is right now.
You
know,
like they learned a lot over the past few years, and it is really cool to see. And I also don't think they can release the Polaris not on 4.0.
Yeah,
well,
that's
now that
the
we're
thing.
on 3.2.4.2, it is 4.0, so neat. Because my kind of theory, kind of tinfoil hat theory, is the Polaris is only been built. The only model, the only game asset they have for the Polaris is built on resource management.
Yeah, and
And
that's
they would have to do more dev work to remove it and make it still function.
And
like a lot of the shit we have now were built and then updated to it, so we have those two different models. And the Polaris doesn't have that legacy edition.
Yeah,
So
it's
it won't
built
work
with the resource
unless we have
network from the ground up. And
Yeah.
I think that's part, they're pushing for 4.0 just to get it out in general, but I think that's part of it. I think that by having 3.24.2 on the 4.0 code branch, it gives them a fallback, because I think that they could put engineering on a 3.24.3 for IAE and it could work. But I think that's not what they're going for. That's like their backup plan, because then they could release the Polaris. Because if you remember what here, I don't remember the exact verbiage that John Cruz said at Invictus Launch Week. He said that the Polaris is coming out at IAE, and then Jared said, well, what if 4.0 isn't out by IAE? He's like, it's coming out by IAE, and so I think that they have a backup plan. I don't think the Polaris, I agree with you, it will not come out without resource management, without engineering. I think they have a backup plan, which is part of the reason, to speed up the development and testing of 4.0 by, with 3.24.2 using the code branch, but B, to also have that code branch established and ready as a backup plan to put engineering into place to allow them to release the Polaris, and not have to eat crow. And then everybody, and the crazy thing is, I had somebody in my comments from the previous podcast on YouTube actually upset that they moved MFDs from 4.0. They're just going to move, take more features from 4.0. And it's like, you mean release those features when they're ready? Why is it bad that they didn't hold a feature back from release? Because the patch it was originally aiming for was delayed. Like, what kind of argument is that? And of course they didn't reply. And it's like, yeah, you moron. How is that a bad thing?
It was Blizzard on your Discord. It said, Back's early access game. Game develops. Player gets angry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, what?
But so, and this is my other tinfoil hat. I think with 3.24.2, we're going to see, because we talked about this in the last show, how they're pushing so hard for radar and scanning. And I don't mean just FPS or just vehicle, both. It's a holistic system. They're being built together. They've been pushing hard. They said in May they wanted to get a not tech preview, but what's it called where they test it in Arena Commander? Experimental mode. They wanted to get an experimental mode for it out before in the patch before 4.0. This was in May. And then in August, they reiterated that they were already testing it in Arena Commander. So they are probably going to release that in Arena Commander for us to test before it's released in the next major patch for it. So even if 4.0 is delayed to December, it can come out with a big feature, and that could be radar and scanning for vehicles and FPS, which is huge. Like, that's a big time feature, and that helps the promises from CitizenCon.
Yeah.
Yeah, fake outrage
Like-
for the sake of outrage. Getting it's like that's where you're going to move that goalpost to? You think that's a good defendable position for that goalpost? Okay.
Dell said there's gonna be a lot of solo players out there only for a second, because all they
Yeah.
can do is pilot, and they're not like
You're going to be real
you can't
bored.
do anything. They're gonna be just targets.
Why is the
You'll be
turret on
boarded,
the
you'll be-
on the below the nose not pilot controlled? Shut the
Like it's gonna cost a heck ton of money for the fuel, and you're just gonna be a target. So you just won't. You're just gonna pull it out of port and get shot. Like
Yeah,
that's
especially
it. That's
confused.
all that's
I don't
gonna
want to
happen.
captain my Polaris
Right.
either. You
I
will
wanna
find me in the med bay. I am Bones.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we got our medical officer. I'll do captain.
Mhm.
I'm sure I can scram together some engineers and gunners from my org. We'll get this done.
Before we move on to the monthly reports, I just have to call out this. So this was from This Week in Star Citizen. They always post a screenshot that somebody submitted. This is the new flight suit, right? This is the new flight suit and everything that is coming out for CitizenCon, isn't it?
Is that the? I swear it didn't have
I
the
thought it was.
arm bracelets.
Whatever it is, this is a great shot.
It's a great shot for sure.
I mean, that's sexy. Even though that ass is flat. Is that the Nomad? I can't. My eyes are deceiving me.
Is
Or
Saber?
maybe it's a Saber. The nose is weird to me. Those arms are Artemix. Okay, it's an Artemix. I haven't seen Artemix in that color. Oh, I want
those
that
gold
now.
bands are Artemix.
I have not seen Artemix in that color. I need. Oh my. Sorry, mommy's gonna have to go without her cancer treatment. Daddy's getting new clothes.
That's terrible.
Oh, what
Oh
are the
my
new
God.
sabers? Oh, that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
But
The standard Artemex
Yeah,
set? I have never seen Artemex
it-
in that color.
no, it's there. They have 3 colors at least. Dark blue is one of them.
Either way, I do want the new flight suit because the new flight suit is
Those
sexy. as
pants are
shit.
getting me though. I don't know what those pants are. Yeah, so it's definitely not the new flight suit.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well, it's
that
but it's
is-
the suit with the
Yeah.
pants and everything. Like I like the materials.
yeah.
The way that and then you've got I think that's a cool looking combo to me.
It's weird I don't see the legs to the saber. It is definitely a saber.
The
now
suit
that
with the
I'm
fur.
seeing more of it. Suit with the fur. Yeah.
See, and I've never flown a Saber.
Because I know
I've been-
the top is the marine one. It's the green heavy marine.
Is it? It
Yeah,
does
that's what
kind
the
of look
core
like it
is.
from the back because I'm used to seeing the.
Well,
But I don't know if
it's the
anything
only
else has
thing with
that
like-
look.
yeah, it's the only thing with that big collar behind the head thing.
Okay. It's a neck
I don't know
brace,
what
so if you fall down, there's inflatable things that pop out in here to keep your head from bobbing around.
Now we just need to get the space coder in here because he has the armory, which shows everything, so he should know all the items, right?
Oh, speaking of the space coder, hold on, we're on Twitter.
We're on Twitter.
Let's see.
Yes, it is still called Twitter. Until
In-
we were
it-
banned from using it.
In this house, it's called Twitter. Okay,
Exactly.
we're
We'll harken back to a better day until we
where's-
were banned because we still call it Twitter. Let's see.
Here
if
we go.
can Open that. To
Look
that.
what the space coder is working on. It's a cargo routing thing.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
I probably saw that, and I probably already forgot about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I reposted it, but yeah,
I'm sure you did.
yeah, I'm excited. All right, so I'm going to switch screens back to the other thing, and then we'll get ready to launch into the monthly reports. But before we do, I'm going to run and use the restroom. That was my
What?
last beer. All I have is
Oh
water.
no! Well, I'm gonna go get some water.
Okay, I'm going to switch screens and I'll pull up everything, and then we'll get into the monthly reports in just a second. But I got to use the bathroom. I forgot to put in my catheter.
Oh boy.
All right, I'll be right back.
I will eventually figure out what suit that is once I stare at it long enough in game. Yeah, we should definitely have a what's it called? Like a intermission screen. So because I feel like I need to stay here and fill the empty space while Tree's off, and then I'll have to go after Tree gets back. Fun. Only 0.6 miles from my house is the brewery. I feel like I have it when I walk there to enjoy a pint and get rollers refilled with their local brewery. Makes Mondays happy. What? Awkward silence is the best silence. Get a hat and ass. That's you have to spend points for that. Like that's you only get to do that in my streams. I haven't bought any new hats recently though. I mean I've been out of a job, so that makes sense. But yeah. I think my first paycheck on Thursday. That'll be nice. I'm the master of awkward silence or awkward conversations. I just embrace it. I don't know how someone can have awkward conversations and embrace the awkwardness. Like that kind of sounds strange. Like either it's not awkward and you just, it's just a conversation, or it is awkward and you try to, you get better at conversating and then it stops being awkward.
Okay, I am back. You can run the bathroom.
Great.
I will take care of the awkwardness. I'm just gonna make it more awkward.
I forgot that
I always walk with my headphones so I can I can hear you guys. It's a good thing I use my mic and I don't use the built-in mic in my headphones, and you guys can't hear me peeing or something,
Yeah. See, as you survive the raid run and taking one.
Yeah, I forgot to get
my
more
head
beer.
is level of the moon.
I went to my regular grocery store, and normally if I'm going to get beer, I go to the bougie Albertsons that's down to a mile to the south, because they have the really good beer selection. But I just needed to get a few things for dinner and for tomorrow, and so I went to the other Albertsons that's only a block from my house. And their beer selection is not very good. And normally they have the ambers that I like, but they didn't even have those. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to buy something I don't like just for the sake of buying something. And I only had one beer left.
Yeah, my brother who lives in the
he
same
thinks
town,
we can't hear his headset, Mike.
he works at is it just alcohol stores? There's a special name for it. I don't know. And so I just like, hey, I'll just you pick it up while you leave work, because he has to drive by our house to go home anyway. So he just drops it off after work, so I don't even have to go to the store for it.
Nice.
I mean, I only buy gin, so it's like
I could make a cocktail, but I already had one beer, and I'm such a lightweight right now that if I did the whole beer before liquor, never been sicker thing, like having one cocktail would screw me up. I should have just had a cocktail and then had a second, but oh well. Are you gonna run to the restroom or?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I'm gonna go get more water.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still good. Let's see. What's chat? I wonder if this is what Germans in denial felt like when they watched the Nuremberg rallies in the 1910s. What people do with X. Oh God. Do you have a Trader Joe's? Yeah. So we do have a Trader Joe's in Boise, but it's downtown. Yeah, they haven't built another. They're gonna be putting another one out in West Boise, Meridian area where I live. But I hardly ever go downtown. I don't. I'm such a homebody these days, just because I always have so much I have to get done at home during the day. I lived in Nampa as a kid. Boise must be massive now. Well, I mean, the metro area has gotten a lot bigger. Boise itself hasn't gotten too much bigger, just because it's mostly Meridian and Nampa that have grown so huge. But Boise's still, it's under 250,000 people. It's a lot bigger, but it's definitely, it's, the metro area is like 750,000 now. Dibley says, so what I've learned from Paul, Tree, and a few others today on Twitter, take what CR says on stage about timelines and rivalous content as gospel truth and ignore everyone else telling me to use reason and pay attention to aims versus promises. Yes. Yes, that's exactly what we're going for. And it's now spreading down towards Cuna. Yeah. I don't know why people want to live, I like our neighborhood where we're at. It's good for the kids. I hated leaving Southeast Boise and being close to the river and all the trails and stuff. And, it was phenomenal and it was quiet, and being out here and more in the Western burbs, it's like, nope, don't like this. And there's just more and more people moving out in this direction, and further west from me. And it's like, why do people like just living in flat cookie cutter neighborhoods? Ew. I can't wait until we can afford to, Emmett is next on the chopping block. I can't wait until we can afford to move north and get out of here, but can you get Youngling Lager in your area? Yeah, sometimes. I probably not in my grocery store that's right down the street, but I bet I could get it. I've just never looked. I like my ambers. Blizzrat says, excuse me while I abuse my mod status. Tree, put this on the big screen. Am I going to regret clicking on this, Blizzrad? Confirmed Tree0311 is a get off my lawn, dude. Oh, yeah. 111%. Oh, yes. My get off my lawn guns are literally right there. You can't see them, but I could it's 3 steps away. Yeah. Absolutely not. Moved a bit further away from folks, about 1.5 hours east of Seattle, and love how much quieter it is. Yeah, Boise and even the Boise Metro is still a small city, technically. And that's why I liked living in Southeast Boise, because it was at the very far eastern edge of Boise, and there's nothing after that. It's just open spaces to the east and mountains to the northeast. Basically the metro area stopped where I lived, but everything else is to the west. And now I moved to the west side of Boise, and there's suburbs out to the west, and I live in a really nice subdivision, and I'm not far from the river, but I can't walk to it like I used to.
Part of the ship. Part of the crew.
Hey, Citizen Dex.
Part of the crew. Part of the ship. Part of the crew. Part of the ship.
Yeah, I like human beings in doses. Okay, we're gonna pull up the thing that Blizzrat. I bet I know what this is. Oh. Oh, whoops. I'm an idiot. Hold on.
Can't see. Uh-oh. Blizzard hypes. I'm scared now.
Can't see. No, I did that on purpose because I'm watching it and you guys can't see it.
He's vetting it.
Yeah. I had to make sure you guys could only hear the porn and not see the porn. Okay, we'll replay it. When did how come these don't have like time things? When did this pop up?
Open the description. Hit the dots. That was a couple days ago.
An hour ago?
So okay.
That is sexy. God, that is sexy.
Dots, you can open the description. We'll tell you when it was posted.
Okay. Well, yeah. Oh, wait, no, that's old. This is old, Blizzrad.
Yeah.
Old news. An hour ago. What, did you just wake up from a coma?
No, I think what happened was he was just recommended it an hour ago.
The one that was posted with the jump point, that was at Connie Aquila. I was actually surprised they used the Aquila. It's iconic. But I figured that they would go for the hype machine that is the Zeus ES because exploration going to the jump point,
It's
So
it's
a
all
10
about who's shooting the video.
Bah, still worth it. It is. I mean, it is sexy. I am getting one.
I'm getting both. I'm getting
Yeah,
I'm getting the CL. I'm gonna upgrade my Gladius to the CL, and I'll buy the ES in game.
was the OG Connie commercial going through going through a jump point, or was it Quantum? I thought it was
No.
just Quantum.
Neither.
Yeah, that I think I'm probably
The Aquila
definitely
doesn't jump.
get the CL just because of the tractor beam, but I am probably gonna bite the bullet and get the ES as well. I think I've got enough credit for both to upgrade from Atlas LTI tokens, but it'll be close. So, okay, let's get into the monthly reports. This is a tiny little outpost. Okay. Does this look like it's in Pyro? I don't remember
Only
when I
because
did the Pyro
geology doesn't look the
Playground.
same.
When I did the Pyro Playground, I don't remember. That's what I was gonna say. This kind of looks like Daymar to me.
Like the colors look Daymar, the ground cover looks like Daymar, the trees don't look like Daymar, and the shape of the hills don't look like Daymar.
Yeah.
Doesn't look Star Wars. It looks excessively Star Wars.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Like I sat there for a good 15 seconds like Star Wars Galaxy?
Yeah. Dibley,
Like,
the MR is gonna be
lighting
hard
is
for me to say no
weird.
to when that comes around. Yeah.
Like the lighting has this I don't know if it's just because the draw distance on shadows or something, but it looks flatter than it should.
I do hope that with 4.0, we get missions for the new fobs, but that they also add some more POIs to Stanton with 4.0. Yeah, the MR, I just want to push people around in coffins. Oh, somebody said something in chat. Hold on. They have said they're going to retro into Stanton. Yeah, it's just a matter of which ones and when. So
Yeah, and time. It just depends on how much time they got.
yeah. All right, let's get into the monthly reports. The biggest thing for me is look at how cute and little the squadron report is. It's adorable. It's so small.
Yes, I can sum up the entire squadron report. Polish was done, tweaks were done, reviews were done. They continue supporting other teams that have little stuff to do. That's it. That's the entire squadron report.
Yeah, Del,
there is nothing new.
There are some very interesting Stanton associated leaks, and we'll talk about some leaks and do some earmuffs at the very end of the monthly reports because there are some things I want to hear what those of you who have seen them and those of you who want to hear about them have to say, because I have my own thoughts, but I like to pick you guys' brains. But let's get into the monthly report because we got to get this done. Next, do you think?
All right. So, again, as I said earlier, as we are to do, we're reading the headers. So, PU monthly report. It's October. That means one thing. CitizenCon approaches. Despite the impending festivities, development continued in earnest throughout the month, with teams across the globe progressing with content for Alpha 3242 and beyond. Read on for all details. Now, I much rather them switch to doing the monthly report much more like how they do the Squadron 1. So here's the Squadron one. Welcome to September's Squadron 42 development report. Enclosed, you'll find details on the latest progress made across the campaign, including narrative scenes, zero-G traversal, and corpse details. Thank you for your continued support
traversal.
of Squadron 42. Sincerely, CIG Communications. I much rather them say, like, give little teasers of what's being talked about instead of just like, progress has been made. I like how they do the Squadron 42 one, where they kind of like, we've made progress on this, and find this in the upcoming things. So, just sort of a preference I'd like them to do. I know they're not going to do it, but it's fine. All right, so AI content, I believe, is yours.
Right?
Yes, I did get the long one again.
Totally unintended. Let me scroll down.
It's just how it shakes out. You get community, and I get core gameplay. That's just how it works.
Alrighty, so AI content for the PU. September saw the AI and narrative designers continuing their work on in the Pyro system by setting up the spawn data and markup for the various outposts and space stations. This involved cooperation with the level design team to ensure that NPCs were spawning correctly. Then, following discussions with the mission team, AI content spent significant time marking up locations in Stanton. So, new missions.
I'm pretty sure that includes
NPCs spawning.
I'm pretty sure that includes them removing the pre-spawned NPCs. That was talked about a while ago, where all NPCs in a location will be dynamic. Instead of them having to spawn in and hard bake in those first dozen or so NPCs, and you can happen upon it if it like just spawns in. They'll have those like at attention crowds of NPCs. It's terrifying.
Yeah. Whoa, God! What do you guys? Why are you in formation? They also implemented dynamic conversations to make the versus bar feel more organic and alive. That's already in 3.24.2.
Is
this
it?
tech?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's at all of the bars, but I know it's at some of them. I just don't know which ones. I forget. Somebody said something about it. This tech and approach will be expanded to other landing zone locations and included in any future captured content.
Now, how it's already been over a week. No one's cried bartender or coffee NPC yet. I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Because like we're adding this to bars and we'll expand it later.
Oops, wrong thing. Here, let me close that so I don't accidentally open it more.
Yeah.
All right, and pardon me. Oh dear.
All right, my turn for AI feature.
Yeah, AI features on the PU side.
Yeah, the only first thing is AI tech on the Squadron side, and that's only on Squadron. So, and that's the next one I read. All right, AI feature. With the upcoming release of 4.0, the AI feature team focused on locking down existing human combat features, including the first reactions, ammo management, and tactics to ensure they work consistently across a wide variety of situations and environments.
I think one of the things we're going to be seeing, because I've been talking about it with NPCs not having unlimited ammo. And if you walk around to certain locations, and it's especially apparent at the FOBs, because I was exploring one of them the other day, there are certain crates that are at specific locations that look like ammo crates. And they're at specific locations where there should be ammo. And so I'm like, oh, yep, I'm guaranteed those are ammo crates where NPCs can go and get more ammo. My only question is, can I?
Yeah,
If an NPC can interact with it and refill their ammo and I can't, I'm going to be a bit upset.
Yeah. What would be great is if it dynamically spawned, even if it was just on a timer while they don't have a lot of like being able to like call in a ship to do the maintenance on the drop more ammo or whatever. So if it was just like timed spawn, and you could like just bum rush the map before anything goes wrong, and just hoard all the ammo so they can't go pick up any more ammo.
socially confused. I want to go to the fob and steal the missiles. Can you imagine sneaking in there? You tractor beam the missiles out of the launcher, and then you come in with like an unfriendly, an enemy ship or something like that, and you just hear it going click, 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 click. What the hell?
Oh my gosh, that'd be great.
Yeah, you can see them on the crates. They're like all stacked in there's like a storage shed thing at the fobs. And it's like, well, I needed more missiles, and good thing I came here.
Just
All
like
right, so
the security office in the DCs also have like 8 P4ARs.
which you can't interact with anymore.
Oh, why?
Yeah, I
How
don't
dare
know.
they?
I did.
That was like
I
that was
did
a
some
great
delivery
armory.
missions, on live the other day, and I don't know if it's all of them, but at Sakura Sun and I think the Kovalex one, I think it was on Hurston, I went to both of them. I went into the security area, the checkpoint, and I went there to steal the guns because that's what I do. And you couldn't interact with them, and I was like, there wasn't even a prompt that didn't work. They were just, they were static assets. And I was like, rude. You're putting guns in front of me, and
Wow,
but I
more
guess
testing
technically
needed.
that's more believable. But then again, why can I go in the door? Why is the door open for me? I shouldn't be allowed in the door
Yeah,
where all the guns are.
lock the
Yeah.
door, don't lock the gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lazy
Yeah.
CIG. Fix your shit. Uh,
And then AI tech.
AI Tech on the Squadron 42 side. Last month, AI Tech enabled the designers to set default schedule areas and tags on instanced NPC entities and then export them in object containers. I don't know what that means. This makes it easier for levels with pre-placed NPCs, as information is no longer required to be to pass through scripting. Okay, so when the object container for that level loads in, the NPCs load in with it pre-placed. They don't have to come out through a closet, I think is
Got
what
it.
that means. Navigation cost volume can now also be enabled and disabled through flow graph nodes and modify its initial cost at runtime. Don't know what that means. On the performance side, further improvements were made to the vision, observable, and perception components. So they if you remember, they demonstrated this either in an ISC or an SCL, where they're going over AI stuff, and this was like a couple of years back, where they were first demoing the tech, or the ability for like, AI who are out on patrol to be able to perceive things, when a vehicle flying by and they turn and track it or something like that, or find cover or whatever, or they'd be able to perceive a character at a distance, and either recognize it and ignore it, or recognize it and like move to contact. um,
Now,
and
apparently
it
I
was
did
based
script
off
knock.
of vision, or doing it by sound, but whether it's something they can see or hear.
Apparently I screwed up the document. So that's all on the Squadron 42 only side. Um, Also, I have 2 AI text categories. One's yours, one's mine. And you took mine. So I'm gonna do the AI tech on the PU side, and then you're gonna, to get back on schedule, you're gonna do AI game intelligent dev team.
Okay.
Um,
Um, for example, update frequency was adjusted based on AI character level of detail so that closer entities are more responsive. The team also implemented lighter AI zone handling. Um, okay. So their perception, has sort of a fall off. It isn't a linear thing based off of level of detail. And so if you're farther away, your lower level of detail, you're more difficult to see. It isn't a okay. It isn't. Imagine you're in bushes, at 150 meters away, and it's like, well, the NPC has perception out to 150 meters. But if they make it based off of LOD and you're, at that distance, your level of detail is much lower, the likelihood that they can perceive you is going to be a lot less because of that, because of having it being based off of character LODs, if that makes sense.
That's not how I read it.
How do you read it?
So it says, for example, they adjusted update frequency based on AI character LOD. So the closer entities are more responsive. They also implemented lighter AI zone handling for observables, which will deliver significant improvements when zone queries are made by NPCs, being that farther away NPCs are not as hungry for computer resources because they are updated less frequently.
Oh, okay. That makes sense too. Yep.
I mean, what you said makes sense too. So
Yeah.
it actually, like,
But
I
that's
think
not a
both
performance
are
thing.
right. But it is it makes sense for like their perception, but I think their perception is slightly different.
Yeah, perception
So
can't
on
be a
the
flat thing that says, okay, I can perceive everything from 0 to 300 meters, despite whether you are hidden or partially hidden or something like that. You know, it's more of a not really a chance perception, but it's you are less perceivable when you're 299 meters away because you are more difficult to see from that distance. You're the
I think
level
it
of
works.
detail.
It works a lot like the radar system works. You have your sound, you have your cross section, and you have whatever other signals that the character has, like senses: sight, touch, smell, hearing, and so they are querying the environment when they do that to see if they can perceive a threat.
Mm-hmm.
And they've talked about this, like different NPCs will have different reactions to those things. Roll d20, yeah.
Yeah, roll for perception.
So everything between what is it? On the performance side, down has been also on the PU side, by the way. So you want to finish that last sentence in there?
Yeah, the team also implemented lighter AI zone handling for observables, which will deliver significant improvements when zone queries are made by NPCs. And now we're back to you on the PU side.
Interesting. So that's on there. There is one more sentence on the PU side. So I'll read the top bit, then the one last sentence. AI
Okay.
tech on
Yep.
PU. The AI tech team began September focusing on server meshing, including how AI systems and components synchronize during server transition. Performance improvements were also made alongside progress on features that will be unveiled shortly. There we go. I can read. Following last month's report, AI Tech finished their tasks for the movement system component synchronization between synchronizing the subsumption component that updates AI behaviors. That's a lot of improvement, actually, because basically they're saying it's ready for server meshing and they're ready to implement subsumption.
Well, and the other thing that's really interesting is so right now with static server meshing, there isn't really any reason that an AI would transition servers, but they're getting the AI ready to be able to transition servers.
Right.
So they're
especially for dynamic, because dynamic
yeah.
could be anywhere. Anywhere a object container is a transition.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if they get on a tram, they could easily be changing servers, and they're going to be doing that because they'll be visible. The performance improvements were also made alongside progress on features that will be unveiled shortly. Features being unveiled shortly for AI tech. That is something I'm very curious about, and I think I know what it is based off the leaks.
is it the wave system? Is it horde mode? And then the last sentence, that's for some reason after the performance section that we just talked about. Finally, for AI tech, the team updated AI ship reinforcement functionality, adding support for planetary navigation cost volumes and navigation exclusions. I believe that they also said in the PTU that they are working on to fix the reinforcements for missions that, well, not missions, but like locations that have them.
Yep, I saw that, and that's when I saw that I remembered this, and I'm like, oh god, please let that be working again. Because
I didn't know it wasn't working. Like I
oh
swear I
god,
did
yeah,
what
it broke within like a 0.1 patch of them releasing it. And
might have been
it
working.
it worked initially, and then they just stopped getting out of the cuddy.
Oh yes, yes. Okay, for some reason
Yeah.
they haven't been getting out, but yes,
Yeah, they'll come in and be a sitting duck for you, but they won't get out. But they when the tech when it first released and everything and whatever patch that was, they actually got out, and now they
yes,
don't.
they're
And
supposed to
so
get out of the ship.
I'm very hopeful that A, it works, B, that because they are working all this perception stuff, that the vehicle, the reinforcement ship, the cuddy, or whatever they end up using, because it won't just be the cuddy, that they'll be able to perceive us, and the turrets will shoot characters on the ground, so that way Ghost can't just so easily light them up with a railgun and with game over. Make it interesting, but then adding them to all the locations where you'd have combat encounters, the DCs, the fobs, I'm very excited to see that be more of a thing, and to make these the combat encounters on the ground much more interesting, and have a very believable way for things to escalate in terms of challenge, quickly.
We need a medium dropship.
Are you saying medium is smaller than Valkyrie, or?
No, so we have. I guess large is what I mean. So we have small being the not less. We have medium being the Valkyrie. I guess we need a large, like something that can like put out like an entire platoon at once.
Oh God! Don't
And
even get me started.
I don't think the Hercules does that because there's not enough seats for one. And also it's built for fielding armaments, not fielding people. Liberator, same problem. I think it doesn't have enough seats.
See, the
It's more of
reason
a
you don't have larger dropships for
bad
carrying
idea.
troops, yes,
Ah, okay.
yeah, because one aircraft gets shot down and you lose an entire company of people.
Yeah, I think more.
Now
I
you
know.
can have larger transports, but not dropships. A dropship is something that is deployed from, meant to be able to be deployed from a troop transport carrier, type thing in orbit into the combat zone, not nearby, into the combat zone, and that you do it that way in order you to disperse your force. So if you lose one dropship, you don't lose combat effectiveness.
So
Same way we do it now.
Instead of having a double, like the size of a double Valkyrie, there'd just be two Valkyries.
Yep. Yeah, that's why
Now I want to recreate the intro to Halo 1.
Oh, I just want ODST, but in Star Citizen, but they've already done the mechs thing. Now we just need ODST.
With like the 3 pelicans flying in. I just want to recreate that. Oh man, that looks so cool in my head.
Oof. So yeah, I'm very hopeful for that.
Perfect example. Yes, the Genesis Starliner is my new dropship.
Yeah. I'm very hopeful for this to make it back in game, because that will make co-op game nights and dropship ops with the Vomit Comet that much more fun again. Speaking of which, if you want to join us for the next round of Dropship Troopers in Star Citizen, doing co-op gameplay in Star Citizen, relic hunting and retrieval missions and such, we're going to be doing it on the evening of the 12th. So the announcement is in the events in my Discord. Now we're on to AI game intelligence, right?
Yep.
AI, the AI game intelligence development team. And so when they're talking about AI, they're not talking about like NPC AI. They're talking about using AI to develop the game. And so they mentioned that specifically when they were talking about Planet Tech V5 last year. The game intelligence development team spent the month working toward the release of StarScript 1.0, with the main goal of improving how the tool feels to use. For example, how the devs zoom in and out, and how text becomes visible or hidden at certain levels. They're also optimizing the search speed of the main smart browser and drawing of the graph view.
I do not think that's what this is, though.
Yeah, overall graph view and the new interface.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that the AI game intelligence development team is the team behind the Subsumption editor, or StarScript editor at this point. It is the team that is in charge of building the intelligence or behaviors of NPCs.
Oh,
This team has nothing to do
they
with
rebranded it. I thought this was the people who were. Didn't we have a team where they talked about a group of people that working on the use of integration of AI into the development? Because it wasn't just they weren't just thinking about it for
not a team specifically
Tech.
for. I know it's been the only time I've ever heard it was been in the Planet Tech team.
I could have sworn I read something. Maybe I'm just losing it.
I mean,
anyway.
I've been saying it for a little while, well, at least a year now, that like a LLM harnessed with Star Citizen lore unleashed on NPCs would be really cool. Star GBT.
Starfarer has 12 seats. Perfect dropship. Yep. Perfect. Giant, slow target filled with explosive fuel.
You might as well be a Zeppelin.
Yeah, the Hindenburg was also a dropship. Worked out great. Perfect design. No notes.
If I could go back in time and I can't change like key moments in history, like I can't kill Hitler or something, I think I'd stop the Hindenburg from exploding, because it killed an entire industry or an entire subset of vehicle. If it didn't explode, there were already investors in the entire vehicle kind of like base for Zeppelins and airships, and I hate that we don't have more airships. We should have airship taxis for like the tops of skyscrapers.
We got to bring it back. Forget about trains. We need airships. Like,
do not forget about trains. In addition to trains.
No, you have to pick one. As
I'm picking trains. There's no way I'm not picking trains.
Lame. How very not diesel punk of you. God.
I'm not diesel punk at all.
AI social strike team for Squadron 42.
Yes. Okay. Right. The narrative designers spent September working on key social scenes. This is also Squadron 42. On the AI side, the team polished locations and added additional life via utility behaviors. Location worked on include. I can't even figure out what this. On the AI side, the team polished locations and added additional life via utility behaviors. Locations worked on the included. Nope. The locations worked on included a ship's hangar, gym, bridge, barracks, bathroom, and mess hall. Why was it 3? Dang it. I feel like it should have been locations worked on hyphen included. Like, I don't know. I would rate it differently, but I read bad apparently.
Yeah, it's just the AI, walking around doing random things associated with different rooms.
Yeah,
lifting weights
added utility behaviors.
Yeah.
Yep.
And back to
animation.
Me for animation. And
you get one sentence on PU and then a couple sentences on Squadron.
All right, so the animation team for the PU spent most of September on the Argo Atlas alongside additional work on the Copion and other creatures, i.e. see the leaks. On the Squadron 42 side, animation, September saw the animation team improving on the zero-G flow. So zero-G push-pull, zero-G movement. They adjusted weapon reloading, first selects, and how players interact with the environment to improve overall combat AI, while code was updated to fix various cover bugs. The facial team progressed through the remaining animations for the game, which is nearing completion. They will then transition to improving all facial animations, starting with the key cast characters. The mocap team assisted the gameplay team with body type 2 animations and captured additional data for various gameplay story sections.
You know, I don't think it's very long till they start saying, "Hey, even these teams are starting to like wrap up their work."
Oh yeah.
If we even like get that, like I can imagine the monthly reports are gonna be ending soon. Because for the last year they've basically been saying the same thing, and they've been getting shorter and shorter, and there's less in them because we can't spoil anything, and it's basically like this team worked on polishing what this team works on, and that's basically what it's been for at least the 6 months or the last 6 months. And I think it's becoming irrelevant information.
Oh, another bot. Nano QQ. Boeing has already tried to recreate the legacy of the Hindenburg.
And
Vintage.
if the assumption comes true that we are going to start the publicity of Squadron 42 at CitizenCon, then the briefing room comes back, and I think those will be way better information than the monthly reports. And so I don't think the
Oh
monthly
yeah,
reports
I
need
forgot
to
all
continue
about that.
I've never forgotten about that.
Oh
That was
man,
like
yeah.
one of the best ISCs I've ever seen.
They better bring those back. Oh,
I imagine
that bot's name was Bankrupt Purple. And I have a
Oh my
purple
God.
mattress, and I'm like, why would you want to bankrupt Purple? They're a great company. I love my mattress.
hilarious.
Another bot.
Hashtag not sponsored.
They have some weird names. Get him, Blizzrat. Get him. Attack.
So I think I bet Jared already has everything lined up, if not already shot, for the briefing rooms. Because many should know, probably some don't. While the entire time that the game has been being developed, Jared has also been shooting a behind the scenes documentary. Like he's been doing a lot more video work than he publishes on a weekly basis. So I would not doubt that he already has at least the topics of all the briefing room videos, if not them already shot and ready to go. All right. So now onto character art on the PU side. In September, the character art team progressed with the utility and specialist armors. I haven't heard of those since last year. New heads for character customizer and tasks for the IEE event. Meanwhile, the character concept artist team continued exploring fauna. I wonder if we're gonna get more than. Oh, well, I hope we're gonna get Kazi Grazer and Stormwall in 4.0. But I wonder if there's anything more they're not telling us.
Sorry, just had somebody join the Discord, and they're like, "Oh yeah, watching the latest video," and it's like, "Well, we're podcasting live. Come hang out."
we're live right now if you want.
Yeah. Well, we're the Kazi Grazers. That they didn't move that. No, that's still in the release view for 4.0.
Yeah.
Um,
And Stormwall we
and-
saw flying around last year.
yeah. There are creatures in the leaks, and lots of them.
Yeah. So I remember one of them, and we're nowhere near where that one lives. So I wonder why it's there.
Well, so the one. Hey, Speedfragger! There he is. There they are. Sorry.
Hello.
Part of the ship. Part of the crew. Part of the ship. Part of the crew. Part of the ship.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining, coming and hanging out live. Good to see you. Hell, we can talk about that leak really quick. If you don't like leaks, cover your ears, and then I will do this when it's time to uncover your ears. And if you want to know more about the leaks, I get them in my Discord, so you can check them out for yourself. But
I love those comment. That's great.
yeah, the sandworm is in the files. The sandworm from CitizenCon 2016 is in the leaked files
It's
from
like
3.24.2. The
Varric
Valak car or something like that. I can't
love it
remember
so
how
much.
it's
I love the name.
said and spelled. So I don't remember where I saw this, but I had the same thought, and then I was like, okay, I'm not crazy. But the Valakar is from Lear 3, where the Good Doctor takes place.
Oh. Yeah.
The Good Doctor Arena Commander map, which also did they ever end up getting that tank battle mode into Good Doctor?
No.
No.
Not that I
Okay.
know of.
So they have a lot more of the planet available, not just the building that you do the Good Doctor
Oh,
Arena Commander map in.
yeah, they've said any planet you see in Arena Commander is a full planet.
Yeah.
Like it's there.
Hmm.
They've done the planet work. It's done.
Yeah, they have painted that planet. Whether they have painted it how they want it exactly, we don't know. But yeah, there's an entire planet there, and they're working on the sandworm. It has animations and stuff like that, and other things. So.
And not the crappy ones we saw in 2000, what,
Yeah.
17, 18,
2006. Oh, that was
16?
2016. It
16?
was 16
All right,
or
I went the wrong
17.
way.
I forget which.
It's not
But yeah.
17.
Yep. Probably getting a sandworm body pillow. Yeah. Well, where's my plushie? Where's my plush?
No,
Yeah.
no. Don't do
Okay.
that.
Earmuffs back off. We're done talking about leaks. Not that that really hit it all that much. So that was animation. On to you for character art.
Oh. Yeah, totally. I'm totally ready for that. No, I did character art. You were distracted. That's where we started talking about Fauna.
Oh. Shut up.
Back to you to art ships. Tell us, where is the ships?
I do want to see more of these utility armors because I want to, especially for. So when we get our next referral code, I'm going to create another alt for just industry, and I'm going to give all my Argo ships to it. And so I want that. I want my industry character to be able to look more industry, and not just the aerial, sets.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Character concept art continued exploring fauna, so they're concepting even more animals.
Yes.
Besides
And I
the ones that
imagine
they've
that
already.
because they like one, they have a lot of planets and they need to flesh out, like they can't just have Copions and Kazurazers everywhere. They
Oh yeah,
need
we
to
need a
have,
lot more variety. Yeah.
yeah, they like there needs to be like 5 or so different things per planet or something. Like there's gonna be a lot.
Yep.
Like for habitable planets, like 1 or 2 maybe for like inhospitable planets
Yeah.
that like still have alien life on them because it's a game.
So ship art, the vehicle content team moved several vehicles into their final phases, including the RSI Polaris and several unannounced ships. See the leaks. We know what they are. What they are, a couple of them are very intriguing to me and hint towards things that we will see at CitizenCon that seem to have been developed. If the tea leaves that I'm reading are true, it seems like another major thing has been developed in secret.
Yeah. So I not reading all the leaks. I have a theory that there's another Zeus that's done, being the one that didn't talk about last year, because that's what they did with the Rambler. Like, oh, you like the cutter? Here's another one that is live right now.
You're not wrong, but it's not what you thought it was.
Okay, now I'm completely confused. All right,
Yeah.
let's do this.
And you can
That's
find
cool.
it in the leaks and you can see what it is. And
I
don't
got
remember if
less
you're
than
into
2
that sort of thing.
Less than 2. I'm not. I try. I did look in there when the BIS pins came out, and I did kind of browse through there. There's a lot of Zeus paints. There's a lot of Zeus paints. I like it.
Delling are they wouldn't be boreal stalkers. We will have boreal stalkers. We'll have jungle stalkers. We'll have desert stalkers.
No. The Boreal Stalker needs to be a Marketech unique one. It was designed specifically for microtech.
Nah, retcon. I want a Daymar Stalker. You know, I want a Desert Wampa in the sand caves.
Sure.
Yeah.
You can have a Desert Wampa, but it will be not genetically close to the Boreal Stalker. It'll be, whatever the. And I actually like the idea.
Yeah, the
of,
hairless version. You know.
No, like a completely reconcepting, like make it more Rancor than Boreal Stalker.
Ooh. Yep. I'm gonna write it.
You're welcome.
They also prepared to kick off another series of vehicles. To me, that suggests, well, they might not be meaning it that way, but it kind of feels like they mean a vehicle with variants.
Yeah. So what I read that as is this year's
The equivalent of the Zeus. Yeah.
Yeah. The Spirit Zeus and whatever this year. So that's
Yeah.
gonna be the kickoff of the new thing.
What's
Just like
your
the last
which manufacturer do you think it's going to be? Because they're going to be.
So they've been doing a lot of MISC stuff.
Well, yeah,
A lot of MISC stuff. Consolidated Outland has nowhere near enough ships. And Argo is a crowd favorite, so one of those three.
Yeah, Bearcatner, you're not wrong. They could just, the skeleton, the animation rig, they could basically tweak that and then reskin it to look like something, different. Literally, just shrink it how they want it to, or make it grow.
Yeah. I'm just saying, in lore and in art, don't make it the Boreal Stalker. I don't care how they back end do it. Let's copy paste all you want. Just consolidate Outland, my Intel.
Surprise! Drake Interplanetary presents the Drake Cutlass Aluminum.
You heard of the steel? Yeah, the aluminum. God dang it!
All right, back
Art
to you
environments.
for. It's your turn
On the squadron side.
Squadron sign art environment art, right? Yeah.
Yep. All right. I get a whole sentence and a half. Environment art focused on key chapters, pushing the boundaries of art and lighting for a high-fidelity cinematic experience. They also looked at dynamic environmental destruction and continued to flesh out planet-side content for Chapter 7. That's it. That's all I got. They are so done with stuff, they're seeing how much further they can go with it.
Yeah.
They're
at the make work phase.
Yeah, they are at
the Rangers will get done when they take on the time to work on the physics of making them work.
So the
Blizzard,
reason
another bot, sick 'em.
There are several reasons why I haven't done the Rangers. It's kind of the same kind of reason why we don't have building interiors this year. There is more stuff that has to get done first. For vehicles, resource management and engineering is a much higher priority than two-wheeled vehicles. Server meshing, much higher priority than two-wheeled vehicles, and vehicles do have some support they need to give to server meshing. I imagine post 4.0, not soon, but post 4.0, there will be kind of a lull in vehicle tech work, and that's the people they need for two-wheeled vehicles. There's still a lot of vehicle tech work to go. The Caterpillar has to be re-teched, re-updated because the doors are supposed to go to the ground. I know there's more
Carrick pods.
Oh yeah, modularity on that side. Modularity as far as features of modularity, especially base building. That's another vehicle tech. Drones, repair and refuel from ships, so the Vulcan stuff. I'm sure there's features with ships that we have now. Like heck, the Herald has supposedly the hard drive is supposed to come off the Herald. I don't know if that's going to be actually implemented, but all the data stuff, that's also much higher priority than two-wheeled vehicles, because two-wheeled vehicles are a single series of 3 vehicles, even though they are a fan favorite and basically everyone loves them, except for the people who are like, why would you have wheeled vehicles in space? Well, screw it. So it's a very small subset of the community that actually really likes them. Yes, we do, but there's much higher things that touch much more of the game than just these vehicles. Basically, when they implement the Ranger, will be just implementing the Ranger and nothing else. Sure, they'll
Well,
do
I think
wheeled vehicles.
when they implement the Ranger, we'll get another two-wheeled bike.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it like data stuff is many vehicles and many
Mhm.
parts of the game. There's not gonna be missions for the Ranger and or whatever comes after the Ranger. Like it's just a vehicle. So they have to have enough time to basically throw away on tech.
Yeah, North End Trooper. I don't want to go to follower only because I don't want to discourage people from coming to watch and stuff like that, and interacting. While the channel's still small, and since I have a Blizzrat attack dog, that part's fun for me. So when Blizzrat says I did think about switching it, but I think Tree wants the interactions, that's the interaction I want, is being able to, tell my savage Australian Chihuahua Blizzrat attack, get the bot that only he and I could see.
I love the aesthetic of a Ranger in a Zeus MR.
Blizzrat, you are that little monkey thing that you was it Brennan G that posted the picture of that in my Discord? Everything in
What?
Australia wants to kill you. Even this little guy, he wants to, he just
God.
can't.
Yeah, I saw that.
That is Blizzrat's spirit animal.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
All right, so your turn on community. The 20
So
links.
the community team began September supporting Alpha 3.24.1 with the Argo Atlas Q&A and by gathering feedback on live releases to help fix bugs and player issues. They then made improvements to the new player guide and welcome back pilot page. As we look ahead, the excitement is building for CitizenCon 2954 Hype, which is just around the corner. With only a few weeks to go until our largest annual event, we couldn't be more thrilled to meet you all in person at Manchester Central on October 19th and 20th. For those unable to attend, we'll be live streaming the show on Twitch and YouTube, so you won't miss a crumb of what is to come for Star Citizen. Plus, keep an eye out for our community-organized Bar Citizen events leading up to the show and an exciting esports showdown with Atmo Esports Enter Atmosphere. Get ready with a digital goodies pack, which I'm hyped about. I think it looks great. I think it's probably one of the best ones we've gotten, or if not the best one we've gotten. Yeah. Looking forward to seeing what's in the redacted box. Filled with exclusive content to get you into the CitizenCon Spirit community team. Super looking forward to our Bar Citizen Boise event the afternoon after CitizenCon ends on Sunday. Can't wait. The Bar Citizen World Tour, pardon me, continued in September with the community team attending events in Marinha Grande, Portugal, and San Diego, USA for TwitchCon. Lastly, the team supported Pirate Week, including the Show Us Your Plunder contest. That's a cool shot. Somebody's been loot goblining, and I'm here for it.
I don't know how on earth they had the patience to build that. There's a bomb in the background.
A what?
A bomb.
Oh yeah, there's the size 5s and size 10, right? 5s.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see the small ones.
Is that what's in the A1 size 5s, right?
Yeah. Whatever it is. I don't know. I don't do bombing.
I don't either. That's why I'm asking. I can't remember because the A2 is supposed to be able to have the size 10s and size 3 cluster bombs, right? And then, but we don't have the cluster bombs,
right?
Am I correct? And then the A1 has the size 5s, correct? Because we don't have the size 3s yet, the cluster bombs.
That would make sense.
Just want to make sure I'm not losing my mind.
Size 1s are really small. Size 1s would probably be like turret
wing mount
stuff.
Yeah.
So, because Turbulent is now a CIG office, do you think we'll get a Montreal next year?
I think yes, and I actually, based off the cycle, would it normally have been going back to Frankfurt next year?
No, because it's US, EU, US, EU.
So it would be Austin next year and then Frankfurt?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, either it's Austin or Montreal. And either way, I'll go next year. Yeah.
I think CJ would say time to just have one NA, one EU spot now. I don't think so. I think they'll still tour around all their places, just because like it not only is good for like it's good for community building, not just Star Citizen community, but also local community. It pushes money into the local community. The devs, a lot of devs that reside in those places can't go if it's, let's say, the Manchester devs. Not everyone in the office gets a free ticket to CitizenCon, but when it's in Manchester, literally 2 blocks down the road, they can go to it on their own dime. So a lot more devs can go when it's in their hometown, and then also you get off the same effect for Star Citizen community members. A lot more will be able to go, and a lot easier when it's in one of the host countries that they live in.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they still have the LA office going. It's so small.
It is so small.
Yeah.
I can also see them like dropping LA. So it'd be Austin, Montreal, Manchester, and Frankfurt. And also, it would make sense if they did Frankfurt next year too, because the Launcher Squadron. LA is legal. LA is legal, and something else, like another like remote team that doesn't actually work on the game, but works on stuff relating to the game. Because LA is expensive, and like a lot of
that's why they're
stuff
really...
is getting pushed out of California. Hilariously.
Yeah, it's more of a admin site than anything.
Yeah.
So back to you for core gameplay.
Nah, let's read the long one. I got it.
Yep.
Core gameplay. Core gameplay began September, supporting the Argo, which included unique tractor beam behavior, and that the team are looking to improve and expand moving forward. As the first
Hooray.
game, as the game's first exosuit, it required a special technical setup, as it is neither a traditional vehicle nor a character. This posed some minor challenges when dealing with entitlement, vehicle terminals, and the law system, and ship elevators. We have enjoyed seeing all the fun and creative videos featuring the Atlas gameplay feature team. For Charge and Drain, core gameplay and design focus are discussed whether the client-side prediction works as expected and meets expectation. So, for a lot of things, the client expects something, and it will deal with what you're supposed to see while it's pinging the server, and hopefully those things, when you get a feedback from the server, the expectation is 1-to-1. And if it's not, they need to fix something on the client, because the client.
Hey, Axis with the raid. Thanks for joining us, at Axis. Siren, good to see you. Thanks for
Axis.
bringing your people.
Because everything in Star Citizen is server authoritative, so if the client misjudges what's supposed to happen, you'll get that snapping or some desync. So
yeah, the server will autocorrect you.
yes, violently. So having client-side prediction work as expected is very important. From this, they improved how connections between the multi-tool and resource containers are handled, ensuring that they correctly deal with edge cases and multiple targets. Mission support continued too, including state changes based on resource container occupancy. Don't know what that means. All I can think of is different stuff changes at the, like if you fill a container 10, 50, 95 to 100%.
Yeah, state changes in, like, hey, you add fuel, you add energy, it changes the appearance and how it's functioning and stuff.
Most is mission support.
Yeah, for a mission,
So
like you have a job to refuel or recharge this, and so when you recharge it, with charge and drain or something similar, it starts working again, or lights up and makes sounds and all that stuff. But
I'd also imagine.
But if there's a resource container, like delivering Yeah, we don't have fuel consumption yet, but they could fake it with you dropping in like a, I don't know, a little 1/8 SCU box, and hooray, now you have fuel.
What do you mean we don't have fuel yet?
We don't have fuel consumption yet. It's not a
For-
thing for resource network, or for power
Even in
plants.
4.0?
Yep. Your
Oh.
ship consumes fuel for movement. Your power plant and other systems, your power plant and everything following that does not consume fuel. Not yet.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yep. Yeah, when we were rewatching all the SCLs
Mm-hmm.
for like the last year coming up to now for looking at stuff, that was one thing that oh gosh, what's his name with the glasses and the accent? Who's in charge of engineering? He said that
So, about storing water, there is ice and things in the game. And
Yeah,
there
we
is
have-
liquid containers.
yeah, pressurized ice, I think it is.
So, pressurized ice is something not ice storage. Pressurized ice is like the hydrogen storage.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, the Siren. Always appreciate the raid. Always glad to have you come hang out with us and chat and everything. Talk Star Citizen. You know, you
Oh.
and your people are always welcome. More the merrier.
I went on, the college course of deep wiki reads of what the heck pressurized ice is. And it actually is a substance used to store other things.
Huh.
Because you can make a lattice of pressurized ice. It's not called pressurized ice, it's called ice 2. And you can actually store things in an inert state in it. So
Interesting.
it may be a way that stations store hydrogen instead of big exploding tanks.
That's not fun. Lame.
Let's see, where was I? Bioaccumulation progress 2. I love the sound of that. With
Yeah.
improvement support. I don't like the way you said that. With
No,
improved
I'm
support.
excited about it too. Like the like when your armor gets accumulation and other bits of you do not. You know, of like for snow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also think it also has something to do with like trees spawning in crevices and like in the little pockets. That's more of a distribution thing. Still, with improvement support for wetness God dang it, visualization.
Visualization.
I can't today, and iteration or irradiation.
Iteration. Yep.
Okay, so I got it right the first time. Including a new debug tool for degradation. God dang it, CRG!
Yeah, that was a hard sentence.
The team then continued converting markers to use the entity subscription service, which will support markers at marker at server boundaries when required. September saw further work on jump points, including improvements to the tunnel wall forces and the failure behavior, aka how most of us are going to exit at jump points. The team also expanded various designer control values to better control how the jump point opening and traversal sequences is triggered. Alongside this, improved visuals were added to the tunnel exit. Gameplay-wise, jump drives now use quantum fuel in the tunnel. Fuel requirements is per jump, though each drive has an efficiency multiplier. Very cool. What are we doing?
Blizzard just said Tree is just waiting to accumulate flesh on his doctor's gown, and I made this GIF. This is from the preview from the art preview,
one, right?
Yeah, from the Grimhex Hospital. I found this on the artist who did this and did the all this for the Grimhex Hospital. He posted this
Does it
video.
have a screaming in the background?
This was on his art station, and so I made it a GIF, and it's in my. in my Discord.
Nice.
Yes.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, gameplay wise, IFCS now takes time to come back online after a jump. Great, so we're even more sitting ducks.
Yeah.
Improvements were also made to the camera and screen effect code, while various stability, flow blockers, and performance issues were dealt with. Jump points are currently with QA for testing, aka they're basically done. Numerous bugs were fixed for resource network engineering, including some related to deleting entities not being removed correctly from the resource host. Unnecessary. When stuff gets destroyed, it gets removed. The devs solved issues where items with minimum power requirements were not correctly assigned power as part of the default preset, and fixed items with incorrect components being added to the resource network, which could result in later crashes. Work began on item blockout bindings or box out bindings. When clicking on items in a 3D panel view will open with its details. Sure. I imagine that's just stuff in the. What you doing, bud?
Dell says, no random woman's body, not accurate. So this is during the Pyro Playground. And I don't have the first clip, but I'll explain why this is funny. Oh, was I upside down? I was upside down the whole time. Ah! Oh no!
I don't know where
What?
the box goes.
Why did
What?
the music
Oh, I
get
saw
rolling?
that.
I wasn't moving. Oh,
That's a roasted tree.
lame. Super lame. All the stuff on the ship. Oh, I
Were you
looted a
in
lot
the
of stuff.
armistice or landing zone?
I hadn't landed yet. I was.
Yeah. Oh well, it's EPTU or whatever.
Oh my God! There's a body. There's another. Jesus.
Did you bring the body with you through regen?
I threw it out of the ship. I swear I threw it out of the ship, but there's another.
All right, that's it. Tree's haunted.
There's another female corpse and nothing but her underwear in my So we were at an outpost. It was during the Pyro Playground. We were at an outpost. It was me and Dell, I think Ghost, and a few other people that we play with on a regular basis. And I had oh God, what had happened? I don't know if it was a glitch or something, but I brought a player character. I found a player character's body at an outpost, and so I brought it over to my C8R to strip it of its gear and put the gear in my storage and loot it. And I dragged it up onto the med bed in the C8R, and then my screen glitched out. I don't remember what happened. For some reason, when I went to interact it glitched out. And then when and it wasn't my screen like my actual computer, but like the game glitched out black. And then it turned back on, and all of a sudden the player character had been stripped of their stuff. It was all gone. I don't know where it went, but it was just a body.
The player respawns.
Yeah, well, so all their gear, all the gear just disappeared, and there's a female body lying there on the bed of the C8R, dead in nothing but their underwear. I was like, God, what? It surprised the hell out of me, because it went from black screen to, oh, there's a dead woman, nothing but her underwear in front of me. And then, of course, we returned to the station with the loot I'd gotten from us rampaging around, and of course, I got killed by a missile turret from the station randomly firing. They do that. And so I respawned at the station, and there's another body, not 2 minutes later, just randomly appearing. And so we had people. I was streaming. There was people watching the stream. There was people watching in Discord because I was streaming to Discord. And it's like, what is going on? How does this keep happening? I'm like, it's not me. So that's the context.
It's so crazy. We're less than 3 months out. We're 2 months out from Pyro.
Mm-hmm.
So crazy. Let's see. Next up is the devs solved issues where items with minimum power. Read that one. Work began on item block. I already read that one. I apparently put my marker at the wrong spot. The team also implemented or improved the item destruction and repair behavior. When implemented, when a player destroys an item, it will be removed from the network and added back if the player repairs it, or if it is repaired. Player set values or players values for off and throttle will persist through death and repair too. Progress continued on radar and scanning, including delta signatures. This includes temporary AR markers that will show when detecting a delta signature. Delta basically meaning something is not the background. I lost my place. If the contact is pinned or locked, the existing AR marker updates temporarily. New UI buildings bindings were also added. Were added to enable the designers to customize the player-facing UI. And related development, the radar jammer will now prevent scan waves. Oh, so basically we do it. I imagine that's just what we have now, the tab. So if you have a jammer nearby, you just can't do tab or ping.
Yeah, or I mean, however it ends up working out with the new system,
Right.
like it'll just like you'll go to do it and nothing will happen, or not, you won't get any feedback or something like that. You won't be able to get signatures or
Also,
maybe get signatures.
You can't. Like,
Yeah.
you can't even do the wave. Prevents scan waves, yeah.
Yep.
So I imagine it's not like the quantum dampener. Like, you just can't jump.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't scan.
It's nice that they already are. They're not only building radar
The gameplay,
and
the counter
scanning,
gameplay.
but yeah, the counter gameplay with it.
Yep. Very nice.
Thankfully.
While FPS radar and scanning went through various rounds of playtesting and reviews to improve the overall experience. I mean, they're pretty much. Yeah, this is going to be a big feature at CitizenCon, and as we talked about earlier, getting in as soon as possible to experimental mode, then out for. I think they said we're probably not getting the experimental mode till 4.0. So I'd imagine though that we're getting scanning in 4.1. If not, if they don't accelerate their ideas to get experimental mode into 3.2.4.2.
Yeah, I think that's probably the goal if they're trying to get it into the patch before 4.0.
But I think
And
that
it
we would
probably
already
helps
have
that it's
that.
well,
I think we'd already have knowledge of they're trying to get the experimental mode in there.
yeah.
As they
I
said,
mean, they
like
might.
we are nearing completion of PTU for 3.2.4.2.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
Like
Or maybe it'll
it's
be in. I don't know, because that's.
yeah.
I mean, that's what they said in the May and August monthly report. And it sounds like it's
Mhm.
really far along.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like we're getting a much more fleshed out version of scanning when that goes to experimental mode than we did for engineering when that went to experimental mode. I lost my place again. Continuous release support was provided for the transit and improved debugging tools. A fallback for when teleporting out of transit fails. Okay. Improvements to how transit data is stored in object containers and refactored transit network visualizer. I imagine that's all in support of the new transit refactor for server meshing. The team also implemented off alerts for weapons, coolers, radars, thrusters, and quantum drives alongside misfire alerts for power plants. Power plants, weapons, and thrusters and shields. For Maelstrom, the devs provide support for triggering of particle effects alongside adding support for cinematic sequences and marking parts as critical when a crucial part reaches zero integrity. The whole object will be destroyed or disabled or destroyed in the future. Will be disabled or destroyed. In the future, this will also tie into the resource network. The mission system refactor mentioned in the previous reports continued throughout September. Now missions can be played through to completion using the full mission service implementation. While medical and rescue beacons are functional using the new system too. Nice.
I
So
really
basically,
hope we get a much more in-depth demo of Maelstrom, because whereas before they just showed things breaking apart, I want to see I want to see it not breaking apart. I want to see how
you want
things
to
look
not get
when
enough damage.
the before that, when things are damaged but not broken, how that affects systems, even if they have to show hey, this is what we're going for, not what we have yet, that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
um,
Yep. It's nice to see that basically they're now on par with the service system, and that's now not on the DGS. So that's interesting, which is what it needs to be for server meshing.
Yep.
Or it needs to be not on the DGS is what I mean. I wonder if that affords them any new functionality that can now be done because it's not on the DGS.
Yeah, just and it depends on what they've implemented with the refactor, early on,
Yeah.
in terms of
I just mean in a
they
theoretical
refactored it to make it work for server meshing, but what else have they built into that refactor for things that they know they need going forward? Because obviously they have a time constraint, so how much time do they not only devote to refactoring what they needed, but also what they need for beyond 4.0?
Right. That's what I mean. In a theoretical sense, is there any affordances that they now can work towards that being its own service will give them ability to do that they couldn't have done with a DGS implementation of the mission system?
Yeah.
It's not something that we can answer right now. That is something that we basically have to go to what's his face. I want to say Eli. His name's not Eli. Mission guy. What's his name?
Oh, oh gosh. He and Jared have a hilarious relationship. Elliot. Yeah, Elliot.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, Elliot. That's something only he and whatever
Eli.
mission team.
You were close to
yeah,
Eli.
Yeah, I was very close. That's good job, brain. You got halfway there. So maybe something I can put in the Ask the Devs on Spectrum. For contact prerequisite, the team added the option to set local availability, such as landing zone, moon settlement, or distribution center. Design can now also generate multiple contracts with different overrides. So what this means is, I forget who summed it up where, but this is specifically on where you can accept missions. So you can accept some missions can only be accepted when you're in a certain locale, and you can then override. So let's say you're in Microtech. You can, with this implementation, they can say, hey, we're not going to give you a bounty hunting mission in Hurston or ArtCorp or the jump point things. This is specifically
you have to
for
go there first.
around this point. Yeah, you have to go there, then you can find local things. And obviously there can be some overrides. Like for hauling missions, obviously bigger hauling missions can be have a wider cast for where they can be picked up. I just hope they add cargo hauling mission filters.
Yes, for the love of God.
I want to be able to filter by pickup or drop off locations.
That will make it so much easier. That's why Space Coder's doing that thing, is to help.
Well, I think that's for commodity, isn't it?
It looked like
that is route. That is mission route. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. That is missions. Nice. That will actually be helped because that was a lot of commodity ones that do that. UEX, not UEX, is it? Is it UEX?
No, I don't know. I don't commodity. I do not. Not my thing.
It is UEX. UEX is a great tool for commodity trading, which I haven't done in months. So I've been doing hauling. I love UEX. And why the heck did it spawn on light mode? Thank you. I love UX. UX is great. And I completely lost where I was. Oh, that's right, because I was in a different window.
Second to
All right.
last paragraph.
No, I meant I
sentence.
lost the window.
Oh.
The team spent considerable time in September improving and fixing various issues with cargo gameplay, including hangar performance, server crash, recovery bugs, commodity trading, and sell orders. The team is currently assessing how the development and delivery of Alpha 324's cargo feature went, including quality of life improvements they'd like to implement before taking on the next stages.
Like
taking the next
vehicles
step.
in freight elevators. Make it
There
happen.
there
Come on,
is a
guys.
laundry list. That I cannot stress this enough. The Chad McKinney SCL was so good.
Yeah, I need to rewatch that a third time.
It was so good. Like that and the Benoit one after it were just a highlight of the year. Absolutely highlights of the year. It really gave you a in on like a lot of the cargo people and hangar people that were like really waiting on these features were like, hey, we're not happy with this, this, and this. And Chad's like, yeah, me too. It's great. It was a great show. All right. Then on to the very long and arduous one to read. You got the economy team.
Yes, yeah. Feel for me. Economy for the PU. The economy team continued their ongoing work on Pyro and began implementing some of the balance changes mentioned in previous monthly reports.
Wow. Did you make it? Are you okay? Do you need a minute?
I'm recovering.
Do you need a blanket? Oh boy. And then gameplay story. Yeah, is there anything interesting in that economy? Yeah, they just been like balancing the mission. We're doing our job. That's basically
We're doing a gerb.
All right, gameplay
Let's
story
go.
for Squadron 42. Gameplay story's priority in September was supporting wire efforts to polish. Everything's just going to expound on that, but like that's that's what the entire monthly report is. We did job. Alongside this, they used the new mocap to significantly improve two scenes in Chapter 4. The team also looked closely at Chapter 5, restructuring a complex scene featuring 3 characters meeting with variable timing. Interesting. This previously looked like disjointed. This previous looked a little disjointed, depending on the timing of meeting. However, following reorganization and new mocap, the scene is looking much better and is far more robust. The gameplay story team. A number of scenes in Chapter 3 were blocked by a problem with the level, which the devs solved by submitting a set of fix. Following this, numerous updates were submitted and resolved. Gameplay story continued making steady progress on additional scenes in Chapter 15, implementing a significant amount of performance captured data. So, like, as I've said with like every time we read something Squadron this time, like it's basically we're like, you know, obviously polishing. It's like we're doing the last little things, but it is still by no means done.
Yeah,
Right,
polishing takes time.
Yeah, they're not done with it. There's obviously stuff to do. There's obviously stuff like polish is all about quality.
Mm-hmm.
And they could spend literally forever on this quality, but they have a bar they're aiming for. When that bar is hit, we will have the game out. No sooner, no longer. They will set a date. Like for the narrative of society, this is gonna sound really weird. But I hope they set a date, I hope they miss a date, and then I hope they release it shortly after. Like a month or two after their initial whatever they say at CitizenCon. That is my hope.
I hope they don't miss a date. For my sake and my mental health, I don't want them to delay it again, even if it's 2 weeks.
Right, like a normal studio, exactly, like a normal studio. But also,
but they've already
like,
done that.
At last, so there are those who will make a story because Squadron's coming out. Not everyone likes Star Citizen or Squadron 42. So to get both sides of the coin, you have the people who will say, Squadron's coming out, here's a great game to play. But then you also say, oh, they missed a date. So you have all those haters also making stories about Squadron. It's just winning. It's just winning. So, now we have locations on the PU side. Another very long one for Tree.
I know. I'm struggling here. The landing zone team continued to push toward Alpha 4.0, polishing and optimizing content and supporting the design team in making Pyro as distinct as possible.
I think it's hilarious the landing zone team is working on it.
Yeah. Well,
it's one thing Pyro has none of.
I feel like the landing zone team is probably doing work in the major locations.
It's also
Like the
the landing
Leo
zone team is
stations.
just landing zone
Those
team
are
is
pretty
just
unique.
a location team.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're the location artists. It doesn't like it's only because they don't have landing zones to work on. They're not doing
Mm-hmm.
landing zones. Like
They should probably
they're
change
just
their
location
name.
devs. I
Yeah.
imagine if they change their name, it'll just go like they'll just roll in all of the location devs into a single team.
Mm-hmm.
Like it'll just be like I don't know, the location team. I think it's just a
Back
subset.
to you for mission design, also on the PU.
All right. Mission design continued working on location repair missions, moving some of them into a handyman archetype.
I am so hyped for this. My character's dad was a handyman for my Zero to Hero streams, and I can't wait to follow in his footsteps in game and do that kind of work.
I imagine, Q, there's a lot of people that are in your camp with not caring about Squadron. They started in 2012 with Squadron and Star Citizen at the same time. So there's been a lot of people waiting way longer for Squadron than for Star Citizen.
I mean, the focus has been on Star Citizen for over a year now.
Yeah.
So, and we talked about this before, but even when the focus was on Squadron, the bulk of that focus was on things that were shared. No matter how you slice it, everything that they were aiming to deliver, from CitizenCon going forward, were shared features that were developed in Squadron, and we wouldn't be getting them in the PU now if they hadn't developed them in behind the Iron Curtain of Squadron 42. So,
and like Dale said,
even if you're
Squadron
not interested in Squadron 42 development helps Star Citizen development.
Yeah, like Dale said, like Squadron 42 was what sold Star Citizen in the beginning. It's what CR is known for. Yeah. Where he made his name. Like honestly, like there are, like I said, lots of people in your camp. I already have at least 3 playthroughs planned for Squadron 42 though. But yeah, I imagine a lot of people are just waiting for the current MMO of Star Citizen because Squadron's been now in the back burner working away, and they haven't heard much about it. And Star Citizen is this big flashy thing that lights up tons of news orgs every month or so. So it's much more in people's faces.
Yeah, we are past that point where the people who would be coming back to Star Citizen from focusing on Squadron, who were working on Star Citizen and Squadron features. That's the thing. They were still working on Star Citizen. They just weren't releasing anything for Star Citizen. They were nose to the grindstone for 3 years working on those features, not having to put them out and rush them out to a patch. And so the people who are left on Squadron aren't coming over to the PU. And so what we have now is what we're going to get other than new people getting hired. So like that change that you guys are talking about has already occurred.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So moving on.
Trailer for SC concept and backed. What was the Star Citizen concept? Because what concept? Because the Kickstarter only had Squadron concepts. Anyway, they also reviewed Blockade Runner global event, looking at future tweaks and fixing an issue preventing some ships from being filled with cargo. This was due to a race condition with how cargo is spawned in the game code, and basically this wrecked the final phase of the event every time I tried it. Let's see. Further tweaks to cargo hauling missions were made, including the possibility of removing negative reputation hits for abandoning the mission while keeping punishment for failing. This is already in 3.4.2, I believe.
Yep.
And
Hooray!
it is, yeah, because there's a lot of bugs and things that will make you abandon a mission but not fail a mission. Failing is purposely screwing up.
Oh, and especially until we get the mission refactor in, this is absolutely necessary, because even if you do crash recovery, if you 30K but you stay within the game and you maintain your connection to the replication layer, well, the server you were on was toast, and the server had authority over the missions, and so now it won't be. Now it won't be. And so you will survive through a 30K. It will survive. Missions will persist as you move between servers, which is why they don't work in the server meshing tests. So, yeah, I mean, transit stuff is very important too. But
makes sense that you'd need more persistent.
If I had to pick, definitely the mission refactor is more important for 4.0 than the transit refactor, because transit we're not moving between servers via transit yet in 4.0 with static server meshing, and dynamic for sure. So I don't think there are any aspects of the.
Well, the transit system needs to be reworked because of unloading things. It has problems with unloading.
Unloading things.
Yeah, when the server goes to sleep when no one's around, it messes up how the transit system works. That's one of the reasons why.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, when they stream back in. Yeah. Because even so, and that's as an explanation, the server side object container streaming still is a thing in server meshing. It's part. That's why they got it in. It's required for server meshing, because even if no one is in the zones that a server is responsible for, in say 4 servers with 500 players, and one server is managing, I don't know, all the space stations or something like that, and everybody leaves during a low concurrency environment, then when people come back in, and that server will stream those environments out, and it'll go into, like, I don't know, almost like a sleep mode. If nobody's on that server, it won't power down, it won't shut itself down. As soon as someone moves into its environment or moves towards it, then it'll start streaming all the things back in. But in order to stream a station, elevators back in and get those working, you have to have the transit factor. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, that aspect is important, because otherwise, boy, you think elevators are fucked now.
And I'm pretty sure that's why we have the elevator problem in the testing test channel.
Yep.
Because transit system not done yet.
Yeah, for the all the different all the stations, it's the
ATC
Lagrange point stations.
ATC is its own thing. Transit system is specifically the space buses or space trains and the elevators. So every elevator you ride, is also transit. Every train you ride is also transit.
Yeah. I don't think freight elevators work the same way, but I think that they're probably going to be, because freight elevators are a different system than the transit elevators.
But, so yeah, that's the Squadron demo. That is not the Star Citizen as a Squadron thing. Yes, he says MMO, but everything that is shown is Squadron.
But yeah, well, and so Sendy, but with ATC is going to be its own service as well. We haven't gotten an update on the ATC service, but it is supposed to be with server meshing, separated from the server, and a shard-based service, not a server-based service.
Back then, PU was the multiplayer add-on Squadron. Sort of. If you go back and read the original original Kickstarter, they are basically two sides of the same coin. You were originally supposed to be able to play Star Citizen and fly to the start point of Squadron 42 and start it that way.
They even talked about
they-
co-op back in the day.
Yeah, so co-op
Like-
was alive for a while, and it's only right as they basically went for the 3-year hiatus on Squadron stuff that kind of fell apart, and they said, we're not really at a point where we can add that, and it will cause more dev time than we want to spend on it, because they'd have to rebalance all the encounters and things.
Speedfrag, are you, when you say is it to have fast responding, are you talking about elevators respond to you fast? Or like, because so some of it response time might be interaction delays due to server degradation. Oh, ATC. So yeah, I mean, well, it won't always respond to you. They should respond to you more quickly, yes, but it's because a lot of times there is a queues. But yeah, right now ATC's performance is beholden to server performance, and so if your server is performing like shit, ATC will perform like shit. When it's off the server and it's run as its own separate service, then it won't be beholden to server performance, although a lot of that would be addressed by server meshing. But you don't want to have, with dynamic server meshing and a server, right now it might have authority for a space station, with ATC, and then, things might change and then it won't. And so the ATC needs to work regardless of which server is managing a system, a location with ATC functionality. Yeah, it'll be its own service within the shard. Kinda like a shard will have, a shard manager service and the Atlas service and everything like. It'll be its own service within the shard to handle all ATC transactions for that shard, regardless of how many people are on it or how many servers are within it and replication layers. That service will handle that demand.
The mission system refactor continued, which included 1,700 mission records for Stanton alone. Part of the refactor is streamlined content setup so that the devs don't have to manage that number of records going forward. This refactor won't change how players interact with missions or change gameplay. It's predominantly a back-end refactor to ensure everything works with server meshing. Work also began on an improvement to new player experience that accommodates more fundamental game mechanics, for example, teaching players about item banks, freight elevators, and respawn flow, component repair, gameplay, and master modes, and more.
There are going to be so many little tutorial things that the game is going to have to teach people. I just hope they do it based off of, like, not only... Because I talked about this with Lore Equals Gameplay, because they had an article about the Rust Society, and I hope they will use organizations to introduce those tutorials to those non-base mechanics. Like, it's one thing to teach people like how to do the basics of flying their ship, but in terms of like the career mechanics, you're mining, you're salvaging, I hope they'll use the organizations you get introduced to the organization, you start building rep, they give you missions, but here, let us teach you first.
I would even
and here's your first salvage, laser, your first.
I would really like them to do like physical representation. So like, there's like a Shubin representative at a desk, waiting to give new players their first mining mission.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, are you interested in mining? I got this job with Shubin Interstellar for you.
Yeah. Yeah, the wild lions for that would be fun too.
Yeah. All right, back to you for narrative. I have to be right back.
Is it Squadron narrative or PU?
Starts with PU, then goes to Squadron.
Okay. The narrative team continued their support for Alpha 4.0's upcoming missions. They also provided text for a really provided text for a really exciting upcoming mission. Pretty sure this is the one that Dell and I were talking about in the leaks in my channel. It sounds very interesting. I am intrigued. Narrative then supported characters by reviewing the costumes for Pyro's NPCs to ensure the various groups feel narratively consistent and appropriate for the location. There were extensive meetings with the branding and environment teams to talk over some of the environmental set dressing for upcoming areas. The team also released a new Lore Makers where they answered community questions from the forum. I need to cover that on Lore Equals Gameplay. A Whitley's Guide that explored the history of the Asperia Prowler, and another batch of Galactopedia entries. Now, narrative for Squadron 42, following improvements to the scanning mechanic. Ooh, scanning's coming, folks. Radar and scanning's coming. The narrative team spent time fleshing out information for corpses that players will encounter during the game. Why do I need information? I can do it myself. I know all about corpses. This also exposed some improvements to how scanning information is applied so that it can be properly localized into other languages. How do we translate this into, oh shit, a body? Additionally, the team had several meetings to perform a moment-by-moment analysis of one of the more narratively intense levels to refine the dialogue, environmental storytelling, and enemy behaviors to ensure they all work together. This resulted in various adjustments, including the timing of specific dialogue triggers and the location of certain props. The team also wrote several dialogue lines for automated systems that play in one of the chapters to contribute to creating the proper narrative atmosphere. After reading the monthly reports for Squadron 42 for so long, it's been so long, 84 years, I am just very intrigued to see the level of polish and that the game has received. And, after playing Star Wars Outlaws and enjoying Star Wars Outlaws, but realizing that thing needed twice as long in development to be a great game. There are so many glaring holes. They put all their skill points into world building, and narrative, and not enough into gameplay, and gameplay systems. With Squadron 42 having had so much time for polish and so much attention to detail, I'm looking forward to seeing the contrast between Squadron 42 and other games that have come out, space or otherwise. Wonder if we will get the loading graphic as a placeholder for scanning. Oh, yeah, and fix the turtle's quantum range. The terrapin. Yeah, and so they are rebalancing the quantum fuel economy within 324.2. I don't know what the extent of that is, though. I'll have to look forward to seeing what those changes are. Yeah, but you're not wrong. The feels like a carrier-based scout. The question is, will they leave it like that until we have things to carry it? But yeah, we'll find it more about fuel tomorrow per Wikipedia. Yeah, I love my Rambler, but I have my Rambler for my Cutter Rambler for my Zero to Hero gameplay. But I think that the Scout will be a really great way to introduce people to radar and scanning and how that works in the universe, and why what you're scanning for is important and why that information is useful. I don't think the turtle was ever supposed to be long range. I don't know. I'd have to go back. I'm not spun up on everything about the turtle, about the terrapin. Yeah, who knows, Sandy Sanderson, about redundancy and stuff. It'll be interesting to see.
Okay.
All right, I did the narrative, so it's back to you for online technology.
All right. The online services team began September working on features for Alpha 4.0, including the updated mission and marker system. Tasks also included Part 2 of the backend social services refactor, which replaces some older diffusion services with gRPC services and adds quality of life updates. What that all entails, they don't say. The second half of the month involved design work for new services. Live Tools kicked off a new feature to provide better access management to hex based on various user permissions. Ongoing work involved enabling the ability to display inventories in the Network Operations Center. So that's something for the devs. Throughout September, the network team prepared to bring server meshing to the PU. This includes a new series of tests on the tech preview channel, which we've been working on, where we're pushing our player counts higher than ever to stress the system and rapidly iterate with performance improvements and bug fixes. Network team. They also supported various gameplay teams, helping them to get their features server meshing ready and improve robustness of authority transfers between servers. Hopefully, one of those new services that they're designing is orgs.
Yeah. Included Part 2 of the backend social services refactor. Interesting. I'm interested to hear more about what all that entails and how it affects us, if it's social services. So
I wonder if orgs are going to be a part of CitizenCon.
Could be. I mean, it was part of the road to release. So,
yeah.
So let's see.
God
damn it!
By the way,
another bot. Get him!
And that one made it through.
Get him, Blizzard! Get him! Wake up! Yeah. So the Terrabin, and I have it pulled up right now. Says a long range explorer, and you have to keep that in context with its size. It can only be so long range based off its size. So
I would imagine
it's going to be long range relevant to other ships of its size, and it's
I imagine the Terrapin will be long range, just like the same kind of range the Vanguard is.
Yeah, give or take.
Because the Vanguard is a long range fighter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
it's still a fighter, but it's compared to other fighters of its size, it will have greater range. You're not going to see something the size of a Terrapin having greater range than a ship that's an entirely larger size class than it.
Yeah, the Odyssey would definitely outrange the Turtle. Absolutely.
Yeah. God damn it, bots, let me nap. No sleep for you. No rest. I can do it too. I just like seeing you do it. Bloodless sirloin. So it would be a well done sirloin. And I think we're
back to you for UI.
Yep, UI, and it's just on.
Just PU.
Is it on both?
Nope.
Okay. Yep. The UI team focused on multiple screens for the Pyro system while continuing close collaboration with the core gameplay pillar on jump points and the resource network. They also reworked each manufacturer's vehicle HUDs and MFDs. Reworked each, but we're only getting some.
Yes. Because we still have several manufacturers to go.
But they said they reworked each. And it's like, well, but we don't have each. We only have some of them.
Yeah, so some of them aren't done yet.
Reworked, though.
Just because it says they rework each of them doesn't mean they're 100% on all of them. They 100%ed 4 of them, and they, 50 to 85% the other ones.
Hopefully, we'll get the rest of them
rework
before the end of the year.
Yeah, I imagine
Giving them
we would.
unique colors and a new layout to reduce screen clutter and improve usability. And oh man, they look good. Additionally, the team streamlined the multi-tool UI to be more straightforward without the need for floating elements. It's interesting
Haven't
that
seen
they
that
got
one.
rid of the aim down sight. And I liked the floating elements. I liked it
I did
before.
too.
I
Yeah.
haven't played with it yet. I've only seen other people play with it, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah. So those asking, 1.0 is release. We seem to be, like Dell saying, skip beta because we're doing alpha and beta at the same time. We'll just have a lot slower additional things added to the game as we crack down on 1.0. We're not in that sprint yet. We are still very much in the alpha stage where we're still adding a whole bunch of stuff. But I imagine features will slow down as we try and fix the features that we already have. So we'll have more of a fade between alpha to release instead of a defined beta period.
Beta is balance and polishing.
Balance and polish. Yep.
All your features and tech are in, and now you're just balance and polishing it.
Yeah.
And they're
If we're doing a true
that
alpha,
right now as they go. There's a
Yeah.
lot of the work to do on things that are older but are still the 1.0 version. There's going to be more things to add, but the list of things to add is getting shorter. So as that list gets shorter, more and more stuff is going to be getting polished leading up to 1.0.
yeah, if we were doing a true alpha, they wouldn't bother fixing a whole bunch of stuff. If it worked even vaguely, they just move on. But because they are running a live game, they're also doing a bit of beta bug fixing and balancing to make sure the current live experience is decent.
Yeah, and Nano QQ, I guess I'm saying it right. All the quantum fuel and and even hydrogen fuel is going to continue to get balanced as we get more systems because, and just to remind everybody, Pyro is a small system. Pyro is small. It's bigger than Stanton. It's still small. And so things are going to be different, and I really think we're going to see for quantum travel an acceleration mechanic. So within the distance of the jump, you can only reach a certain speed, based off your ship and your drives and all that. So if you're making a much longer jump with a much larger ship, you can achieve a much higher speed in order to cross that distance, but you can't achieve a much higher speed in a short jump. So if you were crossing, trying to cross a null, which is 120 AU versus crossing Stanton, if you're making the big jump and going as far as your quantum fuel tank will let you go across null, you'll be able to achieve a higher speed and thus cross a much larger distance than you would in Stanton. It's kind of like if you were trying to accelerate, on a going, not even a quarter mile, a tenth of a mile versus accelerating over a mile.
Like
with
how
a semi
you can
truck.
have a subsonic plane anywhere, but you can only drive a supersonic plane over international waters.
Mm-hmm. And you reach that top point, at some point, but then you have to essentially decelerate, during the jump, even though there's not, actually acceleration and deceleration, but it's, in terms of like distance being crossed. So you accelerate to the peak and then you come down essentially. I think that's how they will balance that and make it so that way small systems don't feel just stupid small. You can't jump across Stanton in 1.4 seconds because you're doing the same speed that you would do to get across null in 12 minutes, 15 minutes. But to make those big systems still feel big, but the small systems not feel silly small. Yeah. And last one is VFX, right?
Yep.
With you?
I got a sentence on PU side, then a couple sentences on the Squadron side. VFX. So VFX continued their task for jump points and support and supported vehicles, weapons, and location teams with a variety of deliverables, including the Argo Atlas and the RSI Zeus Mark II. Squadron side, the VFX team continued working towards their current milestones, supporting the Cinemax gameplay locations and weapon scenes with their content deliverables. The VFX team is currently working on optimizations to ensure the best experience for all players. All done. That's it.
Hooray! We did it.
Another
Yeah,
month done.
NanoQ, I like, and I've CR did a big post on this back in 2019. It's still relevant. And larger ships will still be able to achieve higher speeds. I'm just saying that, like, for all ships, the longer your jump, the higher speed you're able to achieve. And top speeds for larger ships would be high, significantly higher than for smaller ships. But even if you make a short jump with a large ship, your top speed would be lower during that jump than versus a longer jump, because you have to accelerate without accelerating, because it doesn't work that way, but accelerate without accelerating during quantum to reach that top speed. And if you only have a certain amount of time, and a certain amount of acceleration, you need a longer period to reach that high speed. But the small ship would reach that high speed early on in that long jump and just be traveling at their max speed, and then not get nearly as far before they ran out of gas.
If you just let players overclock their own thing, they'll just have it on full all the time.
Yeah. There has to be controls within how CIG does things. But yeah, that's all we have for this episode of the Pathfinders podcast. It's been a long one. We covered a lot of stuff, but I think it's been good.
4 hours.
A few little tangents, but that do happen.
Yep. And we'll be back next Monday.
Yeah, we'll be back next Monday for our annual CitizenCon expectations episode, and that's all we're going to talk about. We'll probably talk about we'll have more server meshing updates. Yeah, news and stuff, and then each of us will talk about our expectations and the why we're expecting those things leading up to CitizenCon.
Yep.
Tomorrow
So
I'm going to be
notes.
Yep, lots of notes, because that's what we do. Tomorrow evening, I'm hoping to do more Zero to Hero, and Wednesday night, I'm going to do another Lore Equals Gameplay stream. That's the goal. Things happen when you have kids, so we'll see. I'll keep you guys posted in the Discord and on Twitter. Naz, you got plans coming up?
Yes, but I don't know them yet. I only work the next 2 days, so probably Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Well, at least Thursday, Friday. I will definitely be streaming one of those days. Possibly even in the afternoons or evenings. Something next. I haven't nailed down schedule yet, but I'm definitely doing the CitizenCon 40-hour stream. So starting at like 2 o'clock Saturday morning, we'll be starting up a 48-hour stream for that. So you'll be seeing me on here, and then catch me then for that. Yes.
I'm on Captain's Table with the Astropub, Paul Shelley, this Saturday.
Nice.
So check that out. I think it starts at 2 o'clock my time, so 4 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah.
Does that
You
sound
start
right?
setting up at 3:30. Yeah.
Yep. And then again, the event is in my Discord. So if you want to always keep track of what's going on, I always post things in the event section of my Discord. But we're bringing back co-op game night Saturday evening. But we're going to be playing Star Citizen, doing dropship ops, hitting up some distribution centers, doing retrieval missions, and that sort of thing. I'm hoping we'll see where 324.2 is. I don't want to leave anybody out that wants to play if it's still in like wave 2 or something like that. But we'll evaluate when we get closer. But yeah, we're gonna be riding around in my Valkyrie, the Vomit Comet, shooting some bad dudes and stealing their shit. making some money and listening to some cool tunes. It'll be fun playing with other members of the community. So you can either come and join us and play along with us, or if you can't join us, come watch on stream. I'll be streaming. You will
Nice.
actually vomit. Yes. You didn't know that was a feature that CIG included in the game until you ride in my dropship.
Well, all they gave Paul was a ship. They gave you an entire feature, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, you have
A
a
specific.
see-through bottle, huh?
It's green. Yeah. Magic. Yeah. So before we wrap up the show, let's find someone to raid. Always got to pay it forward and send some love on to another content creator. So do we have any suggestions?
The only people I got currently followed are Henkin and Neofox.
Oh, weird. The follow option, or the people I follow, is not even an option up on the quick
Weird.
filters. That is odd.
Skyborn's low-flying chef?
Skyborn. Yeah, Skyborn's an option. Who did you say, Naz?
The only people I have are Henkin and Neofox.
How many people
Nope.
does Neofox have?
Jan-
Hinken's got
Neofox
148,
is-
so.
Yeah, Neofox is up at 49.
Let's do. Here, we'll find somebody
Jack is-
small playing Star Citizen. We'll when I say small, but smaller than us. Well, and the other part is I need to make sure I find somebody who's a decent human being. Is Neofox a good person?
I don't watch him very much. I mean, I followed him, so I'd assume so.
I do plan on streaming tomorrow evening. It'll be starting about the same time. It'll probably be a little bit later just because I'll have to get the kids to bed. But who's a great dude? I always try to make sure I raid someone who has the same sort of ideals and such.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
No douchebags.
That makes sense.
Okay, Neo Fox. Okay, I know I saw it. Where'd it go? There we go. Neo Fox. We're raiding Neo Fox. Starting the raid. All right, everyone. Cheers. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out. Really appreciate the raids that we got from Minnie, right? Is Minnie and Axis Zyron. And yeah, come and join me tomorrow for some more Zero to Hero. Come hang out this weekend. Come play with us and come watch Captain's Table. And Naz, always make sure you post what you got going on in my Discord as well. And go show Naz some love and support. And we will see you guys next Monday at a minimum. Be here.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.